Hi collective, welcome back to my channel. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. I do pick a card readings here on YouTube. Just a heads up, my readings do tend to be pretty long, they tend to be deep dives, so grab a hot or cold beverage of choice, get settled, get cozy, because we have a lot to get through today. Today's reading is titled, How Does Your Power Scare and Mystify Others? Who's freaking out about you and why? It's another very Halloween coded spooky season vibe, but this reading is timeless. Whenever you find it is the right time. So in terms of the reading breakdown, what this reading is going to explore beyond the title, essentially this reading is all about your signature magic, the aura you broadcast that makes people glitch a little bit. This is all about the way you spook, intimidate, unsettle, perplex, and enchant people in the best way possible. This isn't about fear-mongering or making you paranoid at all. It's about naming your power and understanding why certain people glitch when you walk in the room. So we're going to be looking at your specific power signature. That's the vibe you naturally radiate. It's kind of like the energy check. We're going to be looking at why it rattles people, so how your very existence can press on unhealed bits in other people. We're going to look at how people's fear shows up in the 3D when it comes to you, so the behaviours you might notice when people are spooked by you. We're then going to be looking at who is most spooked by you right now and why. So those could be identity clues and the dynamic between you and this person or these people. We're going to be giving examples, but also going to be reminding you to use your own discernment. And we're going to be elaborating on when someone's fear might be about you, your impact versus them and their story. We're going to be giving some gentle calibration advice, so that might be how to keep your field clean and your crown on straight. Think energetic hygiene, clarity in communication, and choosing where your attention and your energy goes. We are also going to be pulling some tea leaf confirmation cards at the end of each pile for extra specific details. These are little trick or truth moments to tie the reading together and to give you that extra little bit of clarity. So usual disclaimers here, this is a collective reading. Take what resonates and leave the rest. You know your situation better than anyone. If I describe someone being scared of you and it doesn't sound like you or your story, it doesn't have to be. That's simply a sign it isn't your pile or isn't your message today, and that's okay. These readings are meant to be fun, they're meant to be tea spilly, and they're meant to be clarifying, not anxiety inducing. Essentially, it is a free reading on the internet, and I am not holding you hostage here, so always choose your peace. You are welcome to pick more than one pile if you want clarity on more than one situation. Comments are open, share what resonated, share which pile you picked, or any tea you're comfortable spilling. I read every single comment. That said, unkindness will be banished, rebuked, and returned straight back to sender. This space, I want it to be a safe space for all, so please keep it respectful. You're welcome to share whatever you would like to, as long as you do so with kindness. That is always very much encouraged and welcomed. You can never overshare too much with me. So we have got 5 piles for you to choose from today. Go with your intuition, but I'm going to introduce them for you. So over here we have pile 1 with the Witchy Magic Tarot and the Happy Halloween Rainbow Ghost sticker. Here we have pile 2 with the 3 Trees Tarot and the Spooktacular sticker. Here we have pile 3 with the Queer Tarot and the Trick or Treat Skull sticker. Here we have pile 4 with the Mean Girls Tarot and the Boo Pumpkin sticker. And here we have pile 5 with the Starbright Tarot and the Trick or Treat Eyeball sticker. Timestamps will be in the description and the pinned comment below. Take a breath, choose your pile, and when you're ready, I'll meet you there. Let's find out how you're spooking everyone, and let's find out who can't quite handle your magic. I'll see you there, collective. Hi Pile 1 Collective! If you chose the Witchy Magic Tarot and you chose the Happy Halloween Rainbow Ghost sticker and you chose Pile 1, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. Today's reading is titled, How Does Your Power Scare and Mystify Others? Who is freaking out about you and why? So we are diving into your signature magic, the vibe that makes people glitch in the best way, how that lands in real life, and who's currently the most spooked, plus why they are reacting like that. If you want the full reading breakdown and the disclaimers, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment for your reference. But without further hesitation, let's get started and have a look which cards we pulled for you. Starting over here on the left, we have got Stop Complaining, and the clarifying tarot card is the Five of Cups. From the Pastel Aween Oracle card deck, we have Guiding Glow, Light in the Darkness, Find Your Way Home, Clarity Shines, Hope Flickers, Trust Your Inner Light. The clarifying tarot card is the Hanged Man reversed. From the Audacity deck, we have got The Last Hurrah, and the clarifying tarot card is Temperance. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Know Your Worth, and the clarifying tarot card is the Two of Wands. From the Mushroom Oracle, we have got Parrot Wax Cap, number 30, Isolation, and the clarifying tarot card is the Four of Pentacles reversed. And from the Archetypes deck, we have got Companion, Light Attributes, Loyalty, Tenacity, and Unselfishness, Shadow Attributes, Betrayal by Misusing Confidences, Loss of Personal Identity. Loss of personal identity makes me think of Neptune energy a little bit. That could be relevant. The clarifying tarot card is the King of Wands. Okay, cool. I want to start this reading off by mentioning some quick confirmations that I'm getting already at this point. I usually like to start off by mentioning the numbers on the cards. So here we have the number 30 on this Parrot Wax Cap card. Also the number 3 could be relevant. So 30th birthdays, March babies, a life path 3, the third house, Gemini themes, siblings, neighbours, short trips, communication. Something about your communication is maybe scary to people. Power 1. In terms of astrology, I think we mentioned Neptune. I'm also getting a lot of Jupiter energy coming through, something about growth, luck, expansion. A Saturn return could be relevant with 30 coming up. Somebody could have had a glow up in their late 20s or early 30s. You could have been through your Saturn return recently. I'm seeing green absolutely everywhere with this pile. There's a lot of green coming through. That gives me earth sign vibes, so Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. Somebody could have a green thumb. I'm seeing 4-leaf clovers. I'm seeing Irish names as well, like somebody has an Irish surname. Irish ancestry generally could be relevant. I'm seeing a leprechaun right now. Lucky charms, I'm getting something about lucky charms. That could be a real talisman, like somebody has a lucky charm that they carry around with them. But I'm also thinking of, is it a cereal, Lucky Charms? I don't think we have that cereal in the UK, but I have heard of it. I'm also thinking of like, for some reason, I don't know why this is coming up, but do you remember like old cereal boxes used to come with like a plastic toy, and you'd get a new cereal box and you'd try and like root to the bottom of the box to get this toy? I'm thinking of that for some reason. I'm seeing a slicked back ponytail. I'm seeing a feather boa, something about faux fur. Somebody could have bought a faux fur coat or something. Somebody is doing like a digital detox. Somebody hates getting surprise phone calls. That is something I'm getting. Maybe somebody does have a parrot, or somebody has an exotic pet, or birds generally are relevant. I'm seeing like a lot of wing imagery. I'm getting something about the never-ending story. There's something coming through about somebody having a resignation or a leaving party. I'm also, for some reason, I'm thinking of MBTI, but specifically I'm thinking of like the MBTI types that have the little green icon. Like I'm seeing a little green icon, like an avatar or something. So one of the like diplomat or analyst archetypes could be relevant. Somebody here could be an INFP, somebody could be an INFJ, an ENFP or an ENFJ. Just a lot of green symbolism generally, so healing and prosperity and newness coming through. It could also be like somebody side-eyeing you, a bit of like jealousy, a bit of the green-eyed monster. That could be relevant to this reading as well. So yeah, those are the main confirmations that I'm getting for this pile right off the bat. But let's have a look at your energy and why it spooks people, power. So obviously I don't really know what the story is going to be with each of these readings until I start actually pulling the cards. And when I'm pulling the first few cards, I'm always trying to guess what the story is going to be. Like my brain just tries to predict things in that way, even though it's not 100% clear. But it's interesting, like when we got that Stop Complaining card coming through, I thought like, oh, maybe Pile 1 is scary to like people who complain all the time, because we all know people who complain about absolutely everyone and everything all the time. And we know how draining it can be to be around those people. That said, the more I'm looking at these cards, the more I don't necessarily think it's a case that you can't stand or you scare people who complain. I think it's more like to do with needless complaints, But also, like, I think you are very willing to assert yourself and complain when something needs to be said. And I think that is the part that scares people. And it's actually interesting, even from the perspective of like my own wounding as somebody who identifies with being like in the past a people pleaser and, you know, not really complaining about things and just getting on with things. I can easily see how this kind of energy would rub people up the wrong way if they are a similar way. Like, it's just interesting that I associated complaining with negativity when it doesn't always have to be that way. And I know sometimes this is like a generational thing, and I'm not saying like all boomers are like this, but I feel like us millennials and maybe Gen Z and younger, like, we have adopted this kind of like don't complain thing when it comes to like especially the service industry, because we know what it's like to work in the service industry for the most part and how it's got harder and harder and people are so demanding and things like that. But it's almost like as a reaction to not wanting to be like the Karen who complains about everything, like that stereotypical boomer. Again, not all boomers, I'm not saying that. We have gone the opposite way of like somebody would have to like spit in our plate of food for us to complain. And again, I know that's not everyone. Obviously, I'm talking about an entire generation, but I feel like this is really, really common. I'm a millennial myself, and I feel like this is really, really common because we don't want to be perceived as that person who is really negative and just complains and always talks bad about other people and everyone. And I'm not saying you're like that and this is why people are scared of you, but I'm saying more like you don't complain about the needless things and you're sick of hearing people complain when it's over the same thing, but you will complain when it's with purpose. So, for example, you will complain to actually advocate for like a worthwhile cause or advocate for more fairness or something like that. So that is what I'm seeing right off the bat. That could be why you scare people, because you're blunt when it comes to truth telling, when there is like a purpose to that truth telling. It's not that example of like the stereotypical boomer parent who's like, oh, did you see what they were wearing? They're too fat to be wearing that outfit or something like that. It's not over pointless things like needless gossip. Like, you complain about things that actually matter. You will say things to people's faces when it matters. But if people are like stuck in the same cycles, complaining about the same things and they don't want to find a solution, you will also scare people when it comes to your truth telling and your honesty in relation to that. I don't know if this is making sense so far, but hopefully it is. But yeah, with the stop complaining card and with the Five of Cups, you're not someone who's like, wow, my life is so hard. You know, this is sacred, useful honesty. Five of Cups is feeling the loss and naming the disappointment, and then essentially treating it like a compass. So looking at that stop complaining card, it's not necessarily saying stop complaining, it's more saying like complain with purpose, and that's what you do. You do not moan for moaning's sake. You point at what is broken so it can be fixed. And the reason that scares people, that actually rattles people who love endless venting with zero action, because you make it obvious who's committed to the problem versus who's committed to the solution. So people who wrap their identity up in like victimhood, you will call those people out. But some people, you realised they're scared of an energy like yours because they don't actually want everything out in the open. They don't want to fix the issue. They don't want a solution. They just want to complain, and they want to do that forever. Like I said, their identity is tied to it. So it scares them having someone like you who's like, okay, well, what's the problem? Let's talk about it. Let's fix it. You are scary to avoidant people. You are scary to people who are stuck in their own patterns and they're not willing to break them. And listen, like, it's okay for us to vent. Sometimes we want to vent and we want to feel our feelings, like to our friends and things like that, and we don't always want an immediate solution. Sometimes we just want the empathy, and that's okay. But I'm talking more about like when people are given every opportunity to change something about their situation or to speak their truth, but instead they would rather go around and around in circles. I don't think you can tolerate that. And you will tell people that that is not something you will tolerate. But people might be scared of it because they think it's blunt. But essentially, like, you will be the type to say, like, you will call the meeting and you will tell people, X isn't working, here's what we need. And you present something that will actually work, and you actually volunteer that next step. You're not loud, but you're effective. You tell people what you need. So in a work situation, as one example, you're like, oh, the rota keeps changing last minute. Can we make sure it's locked in by Friday? I'll draft the template. Or if you get a delivery, you're like, the delivery was wrong. I'm happy to return it, but I do want a refund. Here's the order number attached. You're like, I'm not roasting you, I'm not complaining for complaining's sake, but I won't vibe with avoidant nonsense either. You are very no nonsense, I think, and that scares people. With the guiding light card and that hanged man reversed, it feels like you're this torch, you're this source of light in a foggy room. So with the hanged man reversed, when other people around you are fumbling, when other people around you are in analysis paralysis and clinging to this idea of like, oh, let's just wait and see, or almost this mentality of like, oh, somebody else will do it. When people around you are like that, your presence flips the switch from suspended to moving. You're the one who says, we don't need a perfect plan, we just need a first step, but we need to take action here. And suddenly it's like everybody remembers how to walk. When nobody knows what they're doing, you map the next two moves and you get people unstuck. It's not bossy, it's just practical. When people are umming and ahhing and they don't know what to do next, you will step in and you will give different options, but you will be clear and concise about it, and you will try to make them choose and actually take action. So I think passive people are quite scared of you. You know, even if it's like seeing your friend, giving advice to your friend, if they want to vent to you about something, you will ask them like, what do you need from me right now? Do you want my advice? Do you want my truth? Or do you want a hug? If it's advice, I'll give it to you. If it's a hug, I'm coming round, I'm bringing snacks. And that in and of itself is really, really nice. It's not scary, but it might spook people who read your clarity as a threat because they are in more of an avoidant mentality. They don't want a solution because your light exposes their stalling in some way. With the last Farah and Temperance, I was really, really excited about these cards because this gives me like, it's a very, well, I have nothing to lose, so I'm just going to say it energy. You could be in that energy right now and it could kind of be scaring some people. Yeah, you are giving this vibe of like, I have nothing else to lose. So I don't know whether you're like leaving a job or whether like something has come out in the open recently. It's a very like whistleblower energy. It's this energy of like my last day on vacation and I'm going to have a big blowout, like go big or go home. It's a very sort of truth telling energy, but with Temperance, that keeps it measured, it keeps it factual, and it keeps it impossible to dismiss. It's like you'll drop the uncomfortable sentence that everyone's been tiptoeing around and you will just sip your water and stay perfectly calm while it lands. And people can't really call you crazy or call you dramatic for speaking your truth, which is even scarier to those banking on you losing your cool. It's like you whistleblow without screaming, you escalate with receipts and not rumours. So at work, you will say something like, oh, for transparency, I was promised X in writing. If that's changed, I will need to explore other alternatives. And people might try to make you out like you're too blunt or too dramatic. You're just saying what needs to be said. Another example, you could be talking to your friend and you say like, hey, I love you, but I can't keep having the same conversation. If nothing changes by next month, I'll be stepping back. You could say that in your relationships. So the vibe is like you ruffle some feathers because you're not afraid to say it, but also you think like, why not? Now is the time. You stand on business and that scares some people. You're not after the chaos, you're just after fairness, you're after getting what you deserve. You speak out about things that people need to speak out about, but sometimes people tiptoe around it. And then they accuse you of being the blunt one, they accuse you of saying too much. But you're just saying what needs to be said. With Know Your Worth and the Two of Wands, your power is that you have options. You price your time, your care, your talent, and you act like somebody who can choose because you know that you have options. You know, the Two of Wands is planning, scouting, interviewing, booking, exploring. People who rely on you staying small get jumpy when they realise that you're not trapped and you could leave at any time. And you are selective with where you put your time and energy. So in plain English, it's basically like, so if the offer doesn't meet your standard, you just say no thanks and you create room for the yes, because you know that there is always other options right around the corner. So at work, you might say, you know, my capacity is 80%. To take this on, I will need to drop X or I will need to move the deadline. In dating, you might be upfront and say, you know, I'm looking for consistency. If you're not, that's okay, but I am. So the theme here is like, you're not mad, you're just moving in the direction that best aligns with you. But for some people, that's really uncomfortable because maybe they haven't learned to voice their needs in that way yet. Maybe they see it as hostility when it's actually not. It's actually just you prioritizing what matters most to you, your values. You do know your worth. You know that there are always other options. And you know that if something doesn't work out, you don't have to stay somewhere where you don't belong, somewhere that isn't aligning, because there will be another option that better suits you right around the corner. and that scares people. With the Parrot Wax Cap isolation and the Four of Pentacles reversed, this is you unclenching, but where you once overgave or over-explained just in case, you're letting flow do the heavy lifting here. You know, this is about being selective with access. And the Four of Pentacles reverse, that's like releasing scarcity and control. People who only wanted to take from you and deplete you of your resources panic at this because the free buffet is closed. You are invite only, you are exclusive, and you give fewer explanations because you don't need to. I think it scares people that like they can't pressure you into revealing too much that you don't want to reveal. Like if your boss asks you to do overtime and you can't do it, you are fully aware like no is a sentence. Like you don't have to say, oh, I can't do it this time because I have this appointment and I have this family thing and oh, maybe I could move it, but blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do that. You can simply say no. And you know that, and that scares people because they know that you know that and they know that you know your worth. So yeah, it's fewer explanations. You don't chase, justify, or keep doors open out of guilt, essentially. You put your phone on Do Not Disturb and you don't apologize for people not having 100% access to you 100% of the time. You know you never need to apologize for that. You're not punishing other people, you're protecting yourself, but that scares some people who just wanted unlimited access to you, who wanted you to be available all the time. With Companion and the King of Wands, you are a phenomenal ally, and your first loyalty is to your own integrity. Companion means people feeling safe telling you the truth. The King of Wands means that you'll still make the call that aligns with your vision, even if it means you walk alone, and that combination reads as dangerous to people who equate loyalty with silence. Basically, you lead by example, you're kind and you're fair, and you still do what is right over what's easy when it comes down to it. If your friend is doing something wrong, you will call them out, you will hold them accountable, you will say, you know, I love you, but I am not co-signing that. Like, if you want support doing the right thing, then I'm in, but I can't support this. You will choose what's right over what's easy, and you keep your voice steady, you keep your direction steady, you don't waver. So some real world examples. Let's say this is in the workplace and everyone in the staff kitchen, everyone's moaning about the fact that there's been no annual raises for like a few years in a row. It's like you will be the one to book a calm review with the manager and you will be like, you know, I was promised this raise, when are we aligning on that? And the manager just says not this year. So they set a boundary and you're like, understood, but I'll align my role with my market value. So you will be the first to leave, you'll be the first to resign. You know that you've got other offers, so you might leave and suddenly the restructure starts. You know, now the same colleagues who were like, oh, you know, our manager's good to us, like I know we can't afford to pay bills or feed our families and we were promised this raise and we didn't get it, but we shouldn't rock the boat, we shouldn't say stuff. You know, let's not get our managers back up. The same ones who called you dramatic or were making out like you were the problem, they're sort of whispering to each other like, okay, actually, you know, pal one was right. You didn't ruin anything here. You didn't ruin the dynamic. You refused to cosplay gratitude for broken promises. Another example could be like a friendship loop that you've been stuck in, like what's productive versus what's performative. So let's say you have this friend who calls you for the 10th time this month about the same ex, and you have offered real steps, real support, real valuable advice, and they do none of it. You finally say to them, when they ask you, like, be honest, do you think it can work? You finally say, babe, I love you, but I can't keep having this same call unless we are moving towards a change here. Like, and no, I don't think it'll work. I think this guy who kicked your nan and set your car on fire, I don't think that is your soulmate, and I've told you this. And then there might be a bit of a hanged man flail. This person might not want to hear that, and they're like, oh, you're so harsh. But no, you're not. You're done being a 24/7 complaint landfill. Your boundary reveals their attachment to the loop, and you no longer have time for it. And that scares them. But it's the same reason people love you, the same reason people are scared of you, and the same reason that people really love you and value you. Because you will say not what people want to hear, but you will tell them what needs to be said, what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And that is so, so valuable. And you don't do it to be cruel. You do it to be honest. And it's not cruel. It's just that some people who are committed to staying in that self-imposed victimhood, a lot of the time, people who are committed to staying in that cycle, they don't want to hear it. They just want to hear what they want to hear. You know, another example, this could be in relation to a relationship reframe. So conflict avoidance versus being direct. You know, you could say to someone you're dating, I need more communication during the week. And them, if they are committed to playing the martyr, they will be like, oh, so I can't do anything right then. And the thing is, you have even asked within this relationship, you will be exactly the type to be able to take constructive criticism yourself. And you could have even asked them, like, oh, is there anything you need from me? And they've said no for months. And then they suddenly dump a backlog the second you voice one of your own needs. You are scary to people who think that peace equals never naming their own needs. You know that peace equals needs named and met. Your clarity scares people because intimacy demands a participation, not performance. You're not afraid to confront things, and that scares other people. It's like somebody could be gossiping to you for months about somebody else. Maybe this is like a friendship circle, a group chat situation, and you're like, you know what, like, let's get us all in a room and let's just have an honest conversation. And this person who's doing all the gossiping, who has all the complaints, they're like, no, I'm fine. And then they send 3 paragraphs to the group chat instead, still talking behind this person's back, but not actually trying to rectify any of the issues. But you are bringing power to that table. You're not passing it under the table. You're not beating around the bush. But that's terrifying to anyone whose status depends on ambient sympathy. And yeah, I keep getting this message about the last hurrah here. It's like you doing this speech on the last day of work because you have nothing to lose. Something like that. So somebody could be resigning or leaving recently. It's like almost like you're getting up on stage, you've got your mic in hand, and you don't scorch the earth, but you do set the record straight, but you do it in this like very measured way. It's not like insults for the sake of insults, it's just being honest. It's like, I don't know, I can imagine you just getting up and saying something and people are terrified of what you're going to say. They're like, is Power One going to go there? What are they going to say next? They're on tenterhooks. People are scared of you for this reason. They don't know what you're going to come out with next, but all they know is that you do have the audacity to go there. Like, you will say it. The things that other people won't say, you will say. You're like, we need to get this out in the open. I can't repress this. Like, no, I need to speak my truth. If something is worth saying, like, I will say it. So I can imagine you just getting up on this last day. Maybe you work with like the most toxic, bitchy people in your office, and you get up and you're like, well, I would say that I'll miss you all, but to be honest, I don't really like any of you. And Sandra, just so you know, those cookies you made at the bake sale last year, they were stale. Don't make them with raisins again, by the way, because nobody likes raisins, but nobody wanted to tell you that they don't like raisins. And Betty, we all know about your affair with Mike from accounts. Have some respect for yourself, Betty. But you could say worse, like, people know, even in that you're being kind of merciful with the truth. You could really detonate if you wanted to, and that potential alone has a few people sweating. It's like people are scared of what you have on them. People are scared that you could ruin them in one breath, but you actually temper it a bit. You actually hold back more than what you could. So you do have a lot of control when it comes to that, but you will ultimately say what needs to be said. I'm getting also a random message about sometimes people are scared to like go out with you because you again have this like go big or go home energy. So they sometimes know that like even if you guys say, oh, we're just going to go out for 2 drinks, it turns into like dancing in the kitchen at 6 a.m. And then they tease you for being like too much. They say to you like, oh, you're always such a bad influence on me. You get me like staying out late. But to be for real, they wanted the adventure. Your willingness to admit desire with that 2 of Wands mirrors their repression. It's not unsettling because you're chaotic, but because you're honest. And you kind of say to them like, come on, you know you wanted to stay out with me. You know you wanted to have this good time. You know you wanted to do this with me. And it appeals to something that they've repressed. But they get a bit scared because they know every time they do something with you, you're going to kind of get them into trouble in some way. It's not in like a serious way, not to be that dramatic, but just like you're going to have a lot of fun, but you're going to maybe end up with a really bad hangover or something like that. You're going to get into a little bit of chaos, but in the best way. And it's funny, people are scared because when they're making plans with you, they're like, oh, we said we'll just go for like a few casual drinks, and then it turns into something else. And they know that even when they're booking the plans with you, because they know that deep down that's what they want. And you will be the one to like bring that honesty out of them. So in terms of who is most spooked by you right now, clues about this person's identity, this is very likely someone who presents as this conflict avoidant martyr. You know, they say to themselves that they're keeping the peace, but they never actually say what their needs are, and then they often resent those who do. This is the kitchen complainer colleague, very loud in private, silent when it comes to actually giving an honest review, very sucky-uppy with management, very pally, but always complaining about the company behind the manager's back and not doing anything about it. This is that person who like is in a restaurant and afterwards they leave a 1-star review, but when they were actually there and eating, the waitstaff came over to them and asked them like 5 times, is there anything wrong? And they said, no, it's perfect, I love it. It's that person. Whereas you, on the other hand, are somebody who would only complain to better the situation. So maybe you leave a 4-star review and you are, when you're in the restaurant, you actually tell people like, oh, like this is great, but I just think it could do with this or it could do with this. And in your review, you're honest whilst also giving constructive criticism that actually helps that restaurant or whatever it is you're reviewing get better. This person could be that friend who's in that endless loop. They call you only to re-experience the wound and they refuse the concrete steps towards getting better. This is that neighbour, that sibling, that person who you have that third house dynamic with, where gossip replaces actual honest dialogue. So their core fear is that if you stop over-functioning, they must function. If you tell the truth, their mask slips. If you walk, they can't replace you. This could be that manager who knows that you know your worth and you have better offers. It could be the person you're dating who knows that if they slip up, you have better offers. Basically, it comes down to they're scared of losing you. They're scared that you really do know your worth and you are prepared to leave if your expectations are not being met. So in terms of how this person's fear shows up, this could be goalpost shifting. You meet the ask and they invent a new one. This could be reversal, throwing things back in your face. It's like you voice one of your needs and suddenly you're dramatic. This could be triangulation, you know, complaining about you to everyone else, but when it comes to you saying like, what is your problem here, they are suddenly quiet. Oh, I don't have a problem. Oh no, I never said anything. Pearl clutching, you know, them saying, oh, we're so worried that you've changed, like what is going on with you, just because their access has been denied. And then maybe performative concerns of saying like, oh, don't burn your bridges here. You know, you don't need to go to extreme lengths. Even though the lengths aren't extreme, they're perfectly fair and perfectly balanced. This is basically saying like, oh, don't hold us accountable for what we have done or haven't done. So your best moves in terms of gentle advice, I would say keep doing you because the evidence speaks for itself. State your needs once clearly and follow with action and not over explaining. Save any extra energy that you have to give for reciprocity. Choose valid options with that 2 of Wands over hoarding with that 4 of Pentacles. Let temperance be your PR team, calm, timed and documented. Be a companion to yourself, be loyal without self-betrayal. Show up in that King of Wands energy as you have been doing. And remember that their discomfort with your boundary is not your cue to just drop your boundary. That's not how it has to work. So pile 1, you don't scare people because you're cruel, you scare them because you're clear. You don't create drama, you end cycles of avoidance. You do not worship the status quo, you worship alignment. You are the friend who tells the truth, the colleague who asks for what was promised, the partner who names needs, the human who refuses to live small to keep the room comfortable. Some will call that intimidating, but if we translate it correctly and if we're really real here, it's actually inspiring. You guide other people to do the same thing, but sometimes you have to step up and be in the lead and make the choice to do it first so that others can make it and follow after you. You keep your boundaries kind and your standards high. The right people will always meet you there and the rest can keep whispering in the kitchen while you walk into your next glow up era with your head high and with your crown on. So that is what I'm getting for your reading, pile 1. Let's finish your reading by looking at some tea leaf confirmations, just to give you a little bit of extra clarity. Okay, so we have got Lion, time to act. We've got February. We've got Carrot, opportunity or windfall. And we have got Torch, spiritual development, enlightenment, awareness and understanding. So with that Lion, definitely big Leo vibes coming through. I don't know if we mentioned that, but you embody some of those Leo traits. You know, you're courageous, you're heart-led, your leadership energy. People are nervous basically because it's clear you're not bluffing. You will roar, you will have your voice heard. And when you do, it's decisive and it's loud in the sense it doesn't shy away. Somebody's pride may be the only thing keeping them from admitting you're right here. Your fearless move is the plot twist. They might have thought that you would turn out wrong about this, but in actuality, they wish they could be as brave as you. There's something coming through about that. February, somebody's birthday could be in February, or maybe this is in relation to something that happened in February or something that is going to happen in the upcoming February. Aquarius or Pisces energy coming through here. But I don't know, there's something about this art style that is reminding me of the 3 Little Pigs, where it's like, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. Someone fears that you'll blow their flimsy house of cards down with one well-timed truth. So by February, maybe expect some form of clarity or closure. And that will be your I told you so moment. With Carrot, maybe somebody's going for an eye test. There's something about seeing clearly. Maybe somebody's getting some new glasses. I'm also getting something about vitamin C supplements or vitamin C serum. That might be relevant. But yeah, I think in general, this is basically saying, like, if a bridge has been burnt with someone or something, don't worry because you will always land on your feet. Like, when one bridge is burnt, another will appear. If you left a job, this Carrot is going to be the new upgrade, the new role, the new offer, a payout, or a stroke of luck that proves that you always land on your feet. Like, this is basically saying don't worry because the universe always has your back. Like, you will figure something out, even if you have had to like align with your morals and say like, no, this isn't right, and you've had to leave a situation. There will be another better situation, basically. And with a torch, yeah, you're the one light in the dark. You are the one who carries the torch for other people. You lead the way and you make that path visible for latecomers. And your move is going to pay off with that Carrot, and it's like others start seeing it your way and they start following suit. You're like this lion who leads the pack. You weren't being dramatic, you were just early. You could just see things for what they were and you acted accordingly. You didn't question yourself. So yeah, that is your T-Power one. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video. That would be amazing if you could do that. If it resonated, please let me know in the comments, or just let me know which pal you picked, or just drop an emoji if you don't feel comfortable letting me know which pal you picked. Any engagement would help me so much, and I would really appreciate it. On a personal note, I just love hearing from you guys. So yeah, if you can like, if you can comment, that would be absolutely brilliant. You could also help me out by hyping, by sharing and subscribing. That would be absolutely amazing, and I would just appreciate it so much. It just lets the algorithm know that you don't mind my content and you wouldn't mind seeing more of it. With that said, I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, pal one. Hi Pal2 Collective! If you chose the Three Trees Tarot and the Spooktacular sticker and you chose Pal2, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. I'm sorry if you could hear banging in the background, by the way. My window is closed, but there's some building work going on. I'll try and reduce it slightly during editing. Anyway, the title of your reading is How Does Your Power Scare and Mystify Others? Who's freaking out about you and why? So this reading is going to explore how your energy makes people glitch, how you spook, unsettle, intimidate, perplex, and enchant in the best way possible. We're going to look at how that shows up in your real life and who is currently most spooked by you and why. So if you want the full reading breakdown and you want to listen to the disclaimers so you know what to expect in this reading today, I would recommend checking out the introduction. I do go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. But with all of that said, without any further hesitation, let's have a look at your cards and let's see what your power is doing to the room, Pal2. So I'm just going to pop your sticker to one side for now. As usual, we're going to be looking at a selection of oracle cards and tarot cards. So over here on the left, we have Got a Drink, cheers, and clarifying that card is Death reversed. From the Pastel Halloween Oracle deck, we have Ancient Bonds, Uncover the Truth, Rebirth from Stasis, What's Hidden Emerges, Unravel Stories, the Past is the Key. And the clarifier for that card is the Nine of Wands. Maybe somebody studied history here. Maybe somebody has a lot of wisdom about the past cultures, past traditions. From the Audacity deck, we have got the Child. Maybe somebody is a parent, has a child of their own, or works with children. And the clarifier for the Child is the Sun reversed, which is really interesting in terms of that kind of oppositional energy with the Child. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got the 10-90 ratio, and the clarifier for that is Justice. From the Mushroom Oracle, we have got Bleeding Tooth, Stagnation, and the clarifier for that card is the Lovers. And from the Archetype Oracle, we have got Liberator, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. Those are the light attributes, and the shadow attributes are imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. And the clarifier for that card is the Knight of Cups reversed. So I always like to start these readings by just giving a few confirmations that I'm getting right off the bat. I usually start by mentioning the numbers on the cards. None of these confirmations have to apply for this to be your pile. It's just a little bit of extra clarity in case any of these do resonate. So we have the number 34 showing up on the Bleeding Tooth card. So the number 34 or the numbers 3 and 4 could be significant in terms of a date, an age, a life path, an angel number or synchronicity you're seeing a lot of, an astrological house or the sign associated with that house. Gemini and Cancer themes could be relevant, so 3rd and 4th house, communication, siblings, local life, home roots, that could be relevant to the reading today. Maybe some of you are Gemini and Cancer clusters, or you have both Gemini and Cancer in your big 3 perhaps. I'm also getting something about Leo and the 5th house with the Child and the Sun card. There's something about creativity, about being seen, about healing the inner child, something about performance, theatre maybe. Maybe some of you were theatre kids. There's something about like romance coming through, something about being playful, like making things fun. And yeah, there's just something about being a kid coming through. Some of you could have had some dental work done recently. Some of you could have even had a tooth pulled. The Bleeding Tooth card also reminds me sometimes of like having a skin flare up. Some of you could have just popped a spot. Some of you could have been dealing with some kind of cystic acne. I'm seeing somebody with very long, dark, shiny hair. Somebody has beautiful hair genetics, a good mane of hair. Somebody's just bought a new cleanser. Somebody's also just bought a new like headband, you know, the headbands that people wear to clean their face or do their makeup. Like sometimes they have like a bow in the middle, it's that kind of headband. I'm also seeing a veil and I'm seeing a headscarf. Somebody could wear a veil or a headscarf. I'm also seeing, do you know one of those beaded curtains? I feel like they're quite popular in the 90s and early 2000s. I think I had one, like one with the colourful beads, and every time you walk through it, it would get like tangled in your hair and you pull a load of bead through with you. I'm getting that kind of curtain, so maybe somebody has one of those, something about nostalgia. I'm seeing a harp, I'm also seeing a violin. Somebody could play one of those instruments. Woodland animals could be relevant, specifically like orangey animals, but also grey animals. So hares, rabbits, wolves, foxes, squirrels. Something specifically though about an orange animal. So maybe like you've been seeing a lot of orange cats, and that could be an extra confirmation for you guys. Some of you could have had Japanese food in the last few days that's coming through. Or maybe you're going to a Japanese restaurant. Some of you could be going out for drinks, or you've recently had someone ask you when you were last out, they came up to you and they said like, hey, have you got a drink? And somebody's offered to buy you a drink, something like that. That's a little extra confirmation for you guys. But even if none of those things resonate, it can still be your pile. So let's get onto the reading as a whole. So I'm seeing you, pile 2. Why you scare people? It's because you are the pattern breaker. You've probably been told this before, you've probably had this come up in readings before. Your power is essentially that you have the audacity to ask why, and then you actually do something different when the answer that people have, which is often, oh, because that's just the way we've always done things, that isn't good enough. That's liberating for you. You question why, and when the answer isn't good enough, you snap the chain and you do something different. You do things your way. It's liberating for you, and it's panic inducing for anyone whose, I want to say like anyone whose identity depends on old rules staying sacred. So anyone in like, I guess, a position of privilege where evolution and allowing people who were otherwise marginalized historically to have agency or power, it's terrifying for those people. It's terrifying for people who don't want to admit that what they were doing historically, we have moved on from them. So let's talk about the cards. With Got a Drink, Cheers, and Death Reversed, this combination reads kind of cheeky to me, to be quite honest. It's like everyone's been clutching pearls about a change that to you is so obviously overdue, and it's like you're the one who finally clinks a glass and you're saying cheers to moving on. Like you're holding your glass, you're saying cheers, I'm looking forward to this new cycle, let's move on. Other people are freaking out about it, but you're like, no, this is way overdue. Like, I'm excited. Like, we can make this fun. This was meant to happen. Death Reversed is stuck change. And it's like you unstick it, and that alone spooks people who would rather endure their same stale loop, going over things again and again and again, than face the unknown. You make it look less daunting and almost a celebration, but you will have people within this kind of side-eyeing your happiness because it proves that their misery with their own stale pattern was optional. So for example, if you leave a job that is soul dimming, that is sucking the life out of you because you're like, I'm not doing this, like I am miserable here, I'm not staying here, let's move on to better things. You could be quite enthusiastic about that and quite calm, but other people might be side-eyeing you because they've been in that same miserable position for years and years and years, but they thought there was never even an option to do anything different. So they're looking at you and they're like, oh, well, pal has left, but they've not got anything else lined up. Like, they need to get in the real world. Sometimes you just have to push through and stay in this miserable job that you don't want to be in, but you're proving them wrong. And therefore that shows that, you know, this misery that they inflicted on themselves was inflicted on themselves. They chose to stay there. And that's scary. It's like, if you can change, then that goes to show that they could too if they wanted to, which means that their excuses have an expiry date. Their rules have gone off. They've gone rotten in the fridge and they need to be binned. But some people don't want to accept it. With Ancient Bonds and the Nine of Wands, we're talking about like deeply, deeply rooted attachment to a specific structure that is now outdated. And I feel like there's almost a sense you were put here to question that. I think you've always been a questioner. I think ever since you were a kid, you were the one who asked, why? Like, why do we do that? What's the point in that? What is the purpose? And it wasn't to, you know, backchat anyone. It was to try and understand things better. It was you looking for like a logical reason why, as humans, we do the things we do, why there are certain rules in society and things like that, but you always questioned it. And then people have always got mad at you for that. Maybe, you know, institutions, teachers, your family, because maybe they didn't have a solid answer. But yeah, with Ancient Bonds, it's like there are these ancestral scripts, these rigid traditions, this thing where the world around you is saying to you, like, that's not how we behave, that's not how we do things. But this Nine of Wands is you kind of pushing back against that and you being done with pretending that the old rules still work. And it feels like someone around you is terrified of that because your last push threatens the scaffolding of their identity. Like, they've fully invested in the bit. They feel like, I've had these rules, these structures for so long, it's too late to go back now. Like, I've committed to it, and if I were to admit that something's not working anymore, if I were to change things now, then that's like admitting that I've been doing things wrong all this time. But you show to people like it's okay to evolve. But this person, they feel tied to this. This feels like so deeply rooted, this intrinsic part of them that they really struggle to let go of. With the child showing up with the sun reversed, your inner child is front and center. You're very playful, you're very creative, and you're bold enough to be seen. I feel like there's always been a part of you that, like, I don't want to say hasn't adapted to the adult world, because I don't mean it like that. You could be a fully functioning adult, but basically you've never sort of lost sight of your whimsy, and you've never like come to the conclusion that your joy has to be taken away just because you're a certain biological age, basically. Like, you have this sort of young at heart energy about you, and it feels like, although you were actually kind of wise beyond your years in the sense of like you would ask questions, you would challenge people, you could have been told by like adults around you or institutions that were more rigid. Those things and people could have told you like, oh, you need to grow up, you need to get in the real world, like that's not how it works, like you can't just be a dreamer all your life. But you've never really lost sight of being that person who is a dreamer and who has really big dreams. And also you're confident in who you are. It feels like you're bold in your own skin, and it feels like almost like these people or this person who is scared of you, it's like they're flinching on your behalf over your visibility. It's almost their own reflex of like, they feel like they wouldn't be allowed to show up in that way. So on your behalf, they're asking like, oh, is Pam allowed to be, you know, this out and proud when it comes to being who they are? But the thing is, like, you don't ask permission from outgrown gatekeepers. That's magnetic to some people, and it's stomach churning to others whose blueprint equates joy with punishment, others who think that they have to shrink and hide certain aspects of themselves in order to succeed. And why people are scared of you, I'm not saying that you didn't have to earn your joy, but it feels like certain people feel as though they had to hide their joy, or they had to earn it in a different way, like in a very rigid way that is consistent with this traditional structure or belief that they subscribe to. And watching you claim it without a courtroom or anyone to tell you like you shouldn't be doing that, it kind of reopens their own repression and their own wounds, their own fear of being too much. That alarm goes off inside them when they see you acting fearlessly like this, just simply living and being alive. It triggers some people because it brings out in them this feeling of like, oh, I could never do that without being punished for it in the past, or something along those lines. It's almost like they're saying it was hard for them, so it has to be hard for you. It's kind of reminding me of like, you know, the difference between those parents who are like, I'm going to help my child and give them all the opportunities that I didn't have, because we've learned how to do things better now, we've evolved, and I can give them these blessings. It's the difference between that and like a parent who's like, well, I had to struggle, I had to suffer, so I'm going to make my children suffer in the exact same way. They'll have to make do with the real world, they'll have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, not realizing that yes, like they had their struggles, but that doesn't mean that people have to struggle in the exact same way now in order to get certain things. And also it's not acknowledging that like this generation has a completely different set of struggles to the previous generation, but we all struggle in our own way. And it's been that way since the dawn of time, and you know, it will continue to be that way as long as humans are a thing. But it's like some generations are always trying to one up the other, like saying, well, back in my day we did this. This is definitely like a sort of back in my day person who's like scared of change, who's fearful of anything that goes against how they thought they had to be. Something about that is coming through. And yeah, with the 10-90 ratio and with justice is truth, integrity, consequences. 10-90 is essentially your energetic design. So 10% hyper aligned action creates 90% of the result. 90% of your worth is internal, 10% external approval. Life is 10% what happens, 90% how you respond. You don't worship grind culture, you pursue aligned impact. You prove to people that it can be done. The example I'm getting is like getting away from the 9-to-5 grind, becoming an entrepreneur. Everyone says like, oh, it doesn't work that way. You know, you can't make a career out of doing XYZ if it's something unconventional, or it's something, you know, that stereotypically maybe doesn't generate a lot of income. It could be that some kind of traditional structure is pressurizing you, whether it's a parent, whether it's like just the outside world, voices in general, telling you like, oh, it can't be done, like back in my day we did it this way, something like that. And you're like, oh, but I'm proving you wrong though. Like, I'm proving that you can, for example, do a job you absolutely love. You can still commit a lot to it without making it your entire life, without having to suffer to get what you want. This kind of makes me think as well about how like a lot of people are way more productive when it comes to working from home. I know not everyone, like some people prefer that structure of being in the office, and that's valid, but a lot of people are really, really productive and better, they get more done working from home. And yet in the UK, from certain government structures, there has been talk about moving towards back into office, bums in seats, and moving away from working from home, eradicating it. And it seems to me counterintuitive. Like, yeah, not everyone wants to work from home. Some people work better in office, some people work better from home. But why are we looking to like eradicate it? Surely I think we should be having more jobs where people can work from home if that's what suits them. But it's all about control. Like, that just goes to show a lot of rules that are made are just about control and just about micromanaging and being like, oh, you know, you can't work from home, we have to see you, you have to be in front of us, we have to be able to check when you take your bathroom break, and we have to make sure that you are not thinking about absolutely anything else outside of work. We have to make sure that you're so weak and tired that you cannot concentrate on anything apart from these spreadsheets. Like, it's just all about control, and that's so clear. It's not about productivity, like that's what's claimed, but we know it's not. It kind of reminds me of like, oh, but we can do it this way. So this could be anything. It could be like living an alternative life, living a softer life, getting away from grind culture, making passive income, something like that. It could be in relation to absolutely anything, but you don't have to do it the way it's always been done. And people will give you bad advice saying like, oh, you have to do it this way because that's what has worked for them, but it doesn't have to work for you. And you're proving that you can make that a success. With bleeding tooth and stagnation and the lovers, that mushroom looked like an infected molar for a reason. Stagnation, that says the rot is spreading, and the lovers is conscious choice. So you choose the clean path, you extract it, you pull it out at the root instead of nursing that rotten tooth forever. It's like people who prefer comfortable decay, they will call that drastic, but it's not drastic, it's decisive, it's what needs to be done, it's burying things, putting a line under things, and then going in a new direction. And it's like when you pull that metaphorical root, whether it's your job, your relationship, or a system, your nervous system stops fighting that infection because it's the clean choice, and therefore you can do some clean healing. With liberation and the Knight of Cups, you embody this archetype of the liberator. The Knight of Cups reversed is anyone who mood shifts, anyone who sells a dream they can't sustain, or anyone who wants you malleable for their storyline. This terrifies people who relied on you living inside your old loop, which was maybe to appease or ignore red flags or hope that somebody or something changes. the spell broke here, but you kept your magic, you freed yourself, you did something different, you broke the chain. You refuse to be controlled, you refuse to be kept under tyranny, you won't be kept under lock and key. So this is about tradition versus evolution. Essentially, you scare people because you keep what nourishes you and you compost anything that controls. This threatens the kinds of people who think that sacred can never evolve or can never change. And there are messages about parenting coming through really strongly here. And I just want you to know that, like, generational patterns, ancestral healing, breaking a chain, liberating old patterns, that can happen whether or not you have children, whether you're a parent. It doesn't have to have anything to do with external children, but whether you are child-free by choice, or you're choosing to parent differently, or you work with kids, or this is just about reparenting you, you are healing the line. And people conditioned to earn love by self-erasure panic when you model joy without punishment. In terms of your career, you won't be bullied into that grind or die mentality. You could be around people who are scared of that because they've built their entire identity on being the martyr. If you go home for the day, if you clock out dead on 5 o'clock, you could have people around you who are like, well, I stay until 6 every night because that's how we get ahead. That's how we get the promotion. But funnily enough, they never end up with the promotion. They just end up having people take advantage of them and doing free labor. And for what? You are not going to be stuck in that martyr energy. You are not going to be stuck bootlicking your corporate overlords just for a pat on the back. And you're also not scared to do things very, very differently, whether it's your own startup company or just a non-linear path in terms of your career, or just having boundaries when it comes to, like, this is what time I clock out, this is what time I clock in, I will be paid for what I do. You are not going to be told that you're not allowed to free yourself and advocate for yourself in that way. In terms of your visibility generally and the way you play with your appearance, like, you wear the thing, you try the hobby, you post the art, you crack the joke, you book the class, you take the mic, you speak up. Some people call it too much, but you call it just living, you call it being here and being free to be a human and to explore all these different things. You're not going to let somebody shame you or punish you for that. So in terms of the who is terrified of you right now, I definitely think for you, pal, too, probably different people have been terrified of you at different points. But in terms of the who, I would say one of these individuals could be somebody who is the tradition keeper. So this could be a parent, an elder, an authority who is very much steeped in this concept of, like, this is how we do things and we can't deviate from that. They're frightened that if your new way works, that old map that they had laid out loses its power and they might have to actually grieve it. Another person could be like the corporate hall monitor, the person who's up your ass, the manager, the senior colleague, the boss, whose status is built on obedience optics. Your justice and your 1090 results without worship expose that as a sham. They want you obedient, they want you to fall in line, and you refuse to fall in line. You're never going to let anyone silence you. Your voice will be free. It could also be like a romantic relationship, a friendship, somebody who wants you to be shackled to things that you have outgrown, or somebody who paints you as like their version of what they want you to be, and the way you actually are, it collapses their fantasy. You have liberated yourself from their projection. So in terms of how this might show up, this could show up in the form of people immediately trying to moralize your behavior, telling you it's wrong, when what they actually mean is it's unfamiliar. This could be people catastrophizing, giving you doom forecasts if you don't follow their exact script. This could be the charm offensive and then the withdrawals, or them love bombing you when you comply to their version of what you should be, and then icing you out when you don't. Some examples I'm getting that are coming through, this could be like if you're trying to organise a family holiday or a wedding plan, somebody could want you to have your big event done in this very specific way, and maybe you suggest a blend, you try and meet them halfway, you're like, 10% this beloved tradition and 90% your own values in terms of like dietary needs, inclusive speeches, something about a shorter ceremony, and an older relative bristles at this idea. They're like, that's not how we do it. But in the end, the day works out perfectly, and this older person is spooked because your small aligned tweak dismantled the myth that only the traditional script keeps us together as a family. You find new ways to be together as a family. Another example is like you quietly stepping back from a weekly service or a weekly obligation that no longer fits you. And instead of debating, you wish folks well, you clink a literal or figurative glass, toast to your growth, and then you go. But someone who equates compliance with character panics. If you can leave with peace, maybe that means the gate was always open for them too. And what would that mean when it comes to how much time they feel like they've wasted being a shrunk version of themselves, staying in the wrong places needlessly? Another example, using the child card showing up with the sun reversed. This could be you starting like a kid's art or music workshop full of playful and creative content. It's very inclusive, it's bright, it's fun, it's a little bit silly, it's not just dull and drab. It's education, but in a way that truly resonates with the playful, whimsical spirit of children. It's done that way on purpose and it really connects with the children. But maybe a relative or a mentor, somebody overseeing the workshop, says it's like too much and it's not proper learning or something like that, and that's due to their own fear of being seen because the kids love it and they're learning more than they ever have. You keep showing up without shrinking, and your unapologetic joy exposes how long they've kept theirs hidden under lock and key. Ancient bonds and the Nine of Wands, that makes me think of this trauma-informed reform in education or in social work or within parenting structures. You replace this idea of because those are the rules with regulation, with consent, and with repair. Veterans might call it coddling. They might say, oh, you're coddling, you're too woke, blah, blah, blah. But outcomes improve, there's fewer meltdowns, there's better engagement in the classroom. They're rattled because your final push through that tunnel proves endurance doesn't have to mean harm. With the 1090 and with justice showing up, maybe you take a day off from your safe, stable job to build your dream, to build your studio, your channel, your classes, and maybe a boss or a parent who worships that grind culture is unnerved. This could be you calling off a picture-perfect relationship because it repeats a pattern that's about control over true love, over authenticity, and pulling the rotten tooth really hurts, but the infection stops. Onlookers who'd rather keep a glossy fantasy than face misalignment are shaken that you chose your own truth over optics. You didn't subscribe to the sunk cost fallacy, you liberated yourself. You said, I can start again. You didn't stay somewhere you didn't belong. You liberated yourself from your own fantasy. You stopped chasing. You didn't tell yourself, maybe one day I'll make them proud or they'll change. You live for you now. The person or the system that fed on your yearning loses its power, and that's what scares them. This could be you asserting a soft boundary at a social event. Maybe you're out drinking with a group of friends and somebody offers you a drink and they start trying to gossip with you. They're saying, oh, have you seen her? Look at what she's wearing. And you toast, but you decline engaging with that and you pivot to a light conversation, or you say to them, do you know what? I think she looks great. I think she can dress how she wants. I think she looks amazing. And that unsettles folks who bond over complaints, but you just don't play that old game anymore. You reframe things. So in terms of gentle guidance, there's this message that keeps coming through about choosing clean pain. It's saying, pull the root and heal faster. Keep your inner child in charge of joy. Adult you handles boundaries and kid you picks the colours. Bless what was and release what is done. Give yourself affirmations, toast to what kept you safe before and then toast to what is keeping you safe now. Recognize that you don't need permission slips to do anything. Visibility isn't a verdict. You can be seen and still be safe. So a little more about who is freaking out and why. Most Spooked is a personal system that equates control with safety. Your liberation proves safety can be self-trust. Somebody who might also be spooked could be a boss or structure powered by obedience optics. Your results without worship unravel the spell. And who is bonus spooked? A romantic or social mood maestro whose fantasy needed you small. You are not anti-tradition, you're pro-truth. You keep what's alive, you compost what's control, and you do it with a wink and a boundary and a brave first step. The right ones are not scared, they're inspired. You are truly spooktacular, pile 2. And that's how you're scaring them. So I just want to finish your reading with a little extra confirmation. We're going to grab some tea leaf confirmations for you. Okay, we've got bird perched. We got that in our last reading. Waiting for news, package, letter. We have got horse, short journey. We have got a ring, a marriage will take place, either romantic or business. And we've got gavel, involvement with the law. So bird perched, this kind of mirrors your current liminal vibe. It's like you've said your piece, you've set a boundary, or you've submitted something, and now you're watching your inbox. This may relate to a literal delivery, a reply to a message, or a response to you choosing a new path. The anxiety is real, but the action's already been taken. You move the needle and the rest is timing. This could also relate to like you getting an actual package today that could be relevant for you guys. Maybe that's an extra confirmation. With that horse card, you know, horses symbolize strength and stamina and sure-footed freedom. With short journey, this says to me that the hardest stretch is behind you. If you're bracing for a marathon of pushback, Spirit is saying it's closer than you think. You've done the heavy lifting, you've made the choice, you set the boundary, you've made the shift already, and what's next is more about steady steps than just being in survival mode or just waiting for an answer to a risky message you sent or something like that. It's not going to be as bad as you think from this point. With ring, obviously, I mean literal engagements or getting a ring could be relevant for some of you guys. That could be extra confirmation. But the ring is about commitment, it's about cycles, it's about vows. This reads as you formally marrying your values. You're saying, this is who I am and how I live. And for some of you, that's also dissolving an old marriage, an old attachment to tradition, a role, a belief, so you can truly commit to what's authentic. Maybe you've recently had a ring resized, or you've lost or found a piece of jewelry. Maybe you've had a ring repaired, or you've been gifted a ring. A wedding or family event may be the setting where these dynamics play out to some extent, or perhaps a meaningful partnership or contract aligns with your new stance. That could be coming in for you. And yeah, with gavel, it's like somebody was scared that the hammer of the law was going to come down on them. It's like somebody acted like your freedom was a crime against humanity or something like that when it never was. Like they were assigning their own fear to whatever this is. This is judgment, boundaries, and consequences without shame, though. This is you declaring not guilty to being authentically who you are. Yes, of course, choices have outcomes, but you're done accepting unfair penalties for living in truth, for simply being who you are. You don't have to apologize for it. I think this is saying if any legal or admin stuff crops up, lean into clarity and documentation. If it's social court, your integrity holds. You don't have to be answerable to anyone. You are not wrong here. You are not committing a crime. There is nothing to be afraid of. You're no longer available for sentencing by outdated rules. That is what I'm getting for you, Pal 2. So that is what I'm getting for your reading today, Pal 2. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did like the reading, please give this video a like. Please comment if you get a chance. Please let me know what resonated. If you don't feel comfortable, let me know what resonated. Please just leave an emoji or let me know which pal you picked. Any engagement would help me so much, and it just lets me know that you don't mind my readings and you wouldn't mind seeing more of them. Don't forget to hype, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you get a chance, that would also mean the world to me. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 2. Hi Pal 3 Collective, if you chose the Queer Tarot and the Trick or Treat Skull sticker and you chose Pal 3, you are in the right place. Welcome to your reading, friends. Today's reading is titled, How Does Your Power Scare and Mystify Others? Who's freaking out about you and why? So this reading today is going to spotlight your signature magic, the potent aura that makes some people glitch a little bit. We're going to explore how you spook, unsettle, intimidate, perplex, and enchant others in the best way. We're going to dive into what that looks like in real life and who's currently the most spooked and why. If you would like a full breakdown of absolutely everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I go through everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment so you know what to expect in this reading. But without further hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you, Pal 3. As usual, we're going to be using oracle cards and tarot cards. I'm just going to move your little sticker out of the way for now so we can have a look at what came through for you. Over here from the I Don't Care Oracle, we have turn your tongue 7 times in your mouth before speaking. And the clarifier is the Two of Pentacles reversed. From the Pastel Halloween Oracle deck, we have Mystic Wings, magic in the air, playful spirits are close to you, believe in unseen wonders, sprinkle magic around. And the clarifier is the Ace of Cups. From the Audacity deck, we have got Death. I've had to cover that up because YouTube doesn't like nakedness. And the clarifying tarot card is Temperance. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we've got Be Authentic. And the clarifying tarot card is the Emperor. From the Mushroom Oracle, we have got Shaggy Inkcap, Growth Destruction Cycle, number 21. And the clarifying tarot card is the Hermit. And from the Archetypes Oracle, we have got monk/nun, light attribute, selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit. Shadow attributes, negative judgment of the physical world, excess piety. And the clarifying tarot card is the Empress. The Emperor and the Empress showing up, which is really, really cool. I love this energy already, pile 3. So I always like to start off the reading by mentioning a few confirmations that are coming through. These don't have to resonate for this to be your pile, it's just things I like to mention at the start of the reading in case this is extra clarity for anyone. So the number 21 could be significant. There's something about a 21st birthday party showing up. The separate numbers 2 or 1 could also be relevant. I'm thinking themes to do with the first or second house. So self, appearance, values, materials, that could be relevant. 21 or the numbers 2 and 1 could also be relevant in terms of a date, a life path, an angel number or synchronicity you're seeing a lot of, and that could absolutely apply. Somebody here could have Aries or Taurus placements. Somebody could be like on the cusp of Aries and Taurus. I'm also feeling strong Scorpionic vibes, 8th house intensity, Plutonian energy that's coming through. Some of you guys may switch up your look a lot. Some of you guys could be Scorpio risings. Some of you could dye your hair a lot. Some of you, your hair is ombre. This shaggy ink cap always reminds me of ombre hair. I'm getting that people misread your values based on your appearance. That's coming through. Something about theatre kid came through in pile 2 and it's coming through again here. Theatre. Maybe some of you used to be in like a drama group. Somebody here watches Bob Ross when they need to calm down. I keep hearing the phrase happy little trees. Bob Ross is such a vibe. We love him. Some of you guys are very spiritual, but you do it in your own way. You are like very committed to your particular belief system, but it might not be anything to do with like an organized religion. I mean, that's fine if it is. I'm getting something about Buddhism though. I'm getting something about like a free thinker. I'm getting maybe Hinduism is relevant for some of you, but also like you could be Christian, you could identify with that religion, but it's like you have your own spin on it or something like that. You could be just very spiritual generally. You could read a lot of self-help or spiritual books, and you could be very resilient when it comes to your beliefs. Like essentially you'll push to the limit for the things that matter to you. I think we got something in pile 2 as well about headscarves, and that's coming through here. But particularly I'm seeing like, it's not lace and it's not net, but you know that material that's almost like translucent and it's kind of like, it is almost a net material, but not net as in like a fishing net or something. It's like, do you know that material that I can feel it in my hands, but I can't think of what it's called. It does feel like kind of silky, but it's also like when you run it through your hands, it's a bit gritty at the same time. I can't think, but it's like a scarf that's like that. Maybe some of you guys have scarves like that, like the thin scarves that are translucent. I'm seeing like a pink scarf specifically, or maybe you have a lot of different colour scarves and you like coordinate them with your outfit. That could be relevant for somebody. Some of you could be modest dressers, but your values are very progressive, and that's this kind of thing that people get wrong with you. Or on the other hand, it's like people could be scared of you or a bit intimidated by you because you have like resting bitch face, or maybe you have more of like an alternative vibe, or like you're a big titty goth GF and you have like a don't fuck with me vibe, but at the same time you have like the sweetest, softest soul. Maybe you're covered in tattoos or piercings or something and people are a bit like intimidated, but deep down you're like the sweetest. Somebody here has worn a sexy nun costume for Halloween. There's a theme of like, I don't want to say being controversial, but kind of maybe like some of you guys had a bit of like an edgelord phase when you were younger, like you did things to shock people in a way, but you definitely still carry this element of like subverting conventions in some sort of way. Some of you could also have like a bit of a grandpa core aesthetic. Maybe you wear like a waistcoat and trousers. Maybe you guys go thrift shopping. I'm hearing that, is it the Macklemore song that's like, I wear your granddad's clothes, I look incredible, like you look like a granddad but in a cool way? That could be relevant. I'm also hearing you're a man-eater, and I'm getting man-eater by Nelly Furtado. I'm also getting something about praying mantis in terms of symbolism. You could be connected to the Fae realm. I'm getting Fae or fairy vibes. I'm also getting the word pinwheel, and I'm getting the word remedial. I don't know what that means, but that's coming through. Something about bonfires. Somebody could be going and seeing some fireworks soon. I'm getting hot cider. There's something about smoky nights. I'm seeing like a torch in the dark, somebody walking with a torch. Maybe like you're going on a nighttime walk for like a charity event or something, or You like to go walking at night. Be safe if you're doing that, that's all I'll say. Some of you guys, this won't be for everyone, but obviously you chose the queer tarot, so it shows you back if you are LGBTQ+. That could be relevant. There is something about like gender non-conforming within this pile. Some of you guys could also be neurodivergent. I'm getting like ADHD, autistic, OCD. Some of you guys could struggle with like mood disorders as well, PMDD. You're very seen and you're very welcome here if that applies. Of course, none of these have to fit for this reading to be yours. They are just little nods or confirmation from spirit. I just like to mention all the things that are coming through. So your energy, pile 3. Why you spook people in the best way. Essentially, you are a walking paradox, but it's in the most captivating way. People think that they can take one look at you and clock you at a glance, and then you tend to detonate their assumptions, but with grace. Some of you guys, you're like this cottage core sweetness mixed with a razor sharp mind. Or you're this like alternative goth siren baddie, and you're this nurturing friend. You defy expectations. You could have a very modest silhouette, but you have a progressive spine. You actually have a backbone when it comes to like your opinions and asserting yourself. You embody both. There's this duality. I always mention duality in my readings, and there's a few people whose energy I'm thinking of specifically, so I wonder if they've chosen this pile. Yeah, there's a couple of people who I'm thinking of right now, and I just wonder if they're here. You might know who you are, so if you're here, hello, and it's so nice to have you back. But yeah, it's like you embody both things, not either or, and that kind of like fries the brain circuits of people who insist on living in binaries. You guys, you've definitely lived many iterations of self. This could be in terms of appearance, dyed hair, swapped aesthetics. You guys probably had like certain phases when you were growing up, like, or you shifted through different beliefs as you like found yourself. Won't surprise me if you guys had like an emo phase when you were a teenager and then you transitioned to something else. And you've been on like the extreme ends of things. Some of you guys love to dive deep into studying, and it's like you're fully integrated into whatever belief system you embody within a given moment, but you have had the capacity to transition from one thing to another. But maybe in the past you struggled, because it's almost like when you committed to something you really committed, but there was almost this sense of like you felt as though you had to prove a label, but now you just let the truth of who you are breathe. And if people get things wrong about you based on how you present, you realise that is not your problem. You don't need to contort to fit in a box. You've essentially learned that multiple truths can coexist at the same time. You can be scientific and spiritual. You can be soft and you can be steely. You can be playful and you can be protective. That inner synthesis is magnetic, and it's intimidating to anyone who needs the world to be flat in order to understand. Oh no, not the flat earthers being scared of you. Pile 3. But you know what I mean, like people who need the world to be simple and no areas of grey. They struggle to wrap their heads around you. You really do perplex people, Pile 3. You're not what people are expecting, I think is a thing. Yeah, with turn your tongue 7 times in your mouth and 2 of Pentacles reversed. People are scared of what you're going to say. I want to say that, like, people are scared because you won't let lazy, it was just a joke comments slide. You will make people stand on business even when they don't want to. You'll smile at them, you'll tilt your head, and you'll go like, oh, I don't get that joke. Can you explain it so that we can all laugh? And suddenly they're the ones wobbling, fumbling over their words, dropping the ball. Suddenly they don't want to explain what they mean. So this especially rattles the types of people who clock your look and they assume that you'll be compliant. So if you're more alternative in how you dress, they might think you co-sign their edgy takes, which are actually just punching down. If you're a modest dresser, you must judge people who don't dress modest. If you wear a grandpa core waistcoat, you must be conservative. Wrong. Like, you can wear a headscarf and still be loudly feminist. You can have purple and ombre hair and still be the most respectful one at the table. You're that fey creature who seems like sweet and quiet until you arch a brow and politely dismantle a whole worldview. Even if we're talking about like people you've dated, people with romantic potential, they get you wrong too, and they'll quickly put in your place and then kind of scared of you. Like, this gives me the energy of people have probably said to you before, especially if you're like a woman, because obviously we women, we only exist in binaries. We're either the virgin or the whore. We're either the dumb blonde or the smart girl with glasses who reads. Like, you can't be one or the other, you can't enjoy both. So I can imagine, like, in the past, people have probably said to you, like, oh, you're not like the other girls if you're a woman, or they could have said something like, oh, I love that you don't dress like those slutty girls, thinking that you'd agree, and then you shot them a warning look, and they're now terrified to speak without cue cards. Like, they underestimated your little grandpa waistcoat, they underestimated your fairy cottagecore vibe. They thought you were a sweetie. You are, but it comes with boundaries. They need to know that, and they do. They're scared of it. That's why it's coming through. Yeah, with Mystic Wings and the Ace of Cups, your vibe is very playful, but you will stand up for what you believe in. Like, you can be giggly at the bonfire, sipping your cider, there's fireworks overhead, it's all magical, and then someone crosses a line with you and your wings flick once and the air shifts, you change the energy of the room. Your presence can do that. And the Ace of Cups is the way that people feel brand new feelings around you. They feel fluttery, they feel like they have to be more honest, a little more raw. And you know, that's spooky for anyone who prefers fantasy. It's like someone in particular tried to cast you as their manic pixie dream person, and you just grinned, you laughed, you flapped them away, and you reminded them, you're not a prop, you're a person with your entire system, belief system. You're not theirs to hold, to capture. People are scared of you because they want you to be this fairy who they can build like a little fairy terrarium for, so they can sit you on their mantle. But you don't want to be that. You want to fly free in the forest. People get scared that they won't be able to capture you, that you'll fly away. Did Nelly Furtado come through in this pile? I feel like it did. I got Maneater, but now I'm getting that song that's like, I'm like a bird, I'll only fly away. With Death and Temperance showing up, I find this really interesting. I think people are scared because your cut-off game is legendary. It's known as legendary. When something's done, you don't cling, you just integrate and flow with the new. Like, when you're done with one phase, when something's out, you move on in this really clean and balanced way. So phases with your hair, phases with your dress sense, phases in terms of your beliefs, in terms of relationships. You've shed skins and somehow landed more in touch with who you really are each and every time you do this. You are very skilled at transformation, you're skilled at burying things, putting them behind you without spiraling. You know, people expect you to spiral. Instead, you like spring clean, you sage, you recalibrate, you glow harder afterwards as well. And I really feel like you've retired from this like all or nothing swinging pendulum. Big changes now come with like a soothing rhythm. You say yes to transformation, but now you do it with balance. So if you in the past could be very like all or nothing when it comes to like trying to overhaul everything. So if you were trying to change a habit or your schedule, like your diet or something like that, you might have tried to do everything overnight. But current you designs an on-ramp, sustainable, research-backed, gentle mechanism that you use to do that, and that terrifies people who only understand extremes, because you keep bouncing back faster and steadier. They wanted an ending to end you, but Temperance said, let me blend that, like let me mix these things together. And you came out balanced, you came out hydrated, you came out moisturized and unbothered, and you look so much better for it. It's like you're glowing, and it's really clear that your way works, your new way of doing things. Like, you don't have to do it all at once, and you can say, this gives me like the vibe of like, I'm gonna eat 80% healthy but 20% junk food, because we can do both. Like, we don't have to resign ourselves to one or the other. And yeah, you know, eating clean, eating all organic food, that's great for my body, so I want to do that most of the time. But also sometimes my emotional self needs the hot Cheetos, so I'm gonna have that too on occasion, and that's okay. You know, it gives me that vibe of like moderation, balance. With Be Authentic and the Emperor, people are scared because you refuse to cosplay a palatable version of yourself. You are not what people think you are. You can do grandpa core trousers, you can wear the headscarf, you can have your goth lipstick on, and you can still chair the meeting with a warm smile with an iron spine. People who rely on stereotypes short circuit when you speak with structure and receipts. You know, you'll be playful with people right until someone tries to lie or project. And then you tell them, no, that's not what happened, in your calm emperor tone. You know, just because you dress modest doesn't make you a trad wife. Just because you're a goth baddie doesn't mean you don't have morals. Just because you're queer doesn't mean you're confused. You hold the nuance and you enforce it. You know, in practice, that might look like you saying, we are not doing that joke here, or this is the boundary, or policy says X, like, here's the email, look it up yourself. Here's the fact, you don't bark needlessly, you stand on business, and that's why people who bank on chaos or charm feel completely exposed and naked around you. You see right through them. You see the parts about them that don't feel comfortable because you refuse to fit in this binary and in this box they've tried to put you in. With Shaggy Inkcap and the Hermit, this talks about how you've transmuted pain time after time throughout various transformations, and how you've come to the conclusions you have in terms of who you are is very much centered around this. And that inner pilgrimage that you've done, it gives you this worldview that's in full colour. It's not black and white, and binary thinkers get rattled because you'll sit with paradox. You'll intertwine scientific and spiritual. You'll intertwine cottagecore and club night. You'll intertwine soft heart and sharp mind. And this is especially for my neurodivergent souls here. Your calibration shows here too. You know when your system needs quiet, having a hot bath, journaling, and when it's safe to re-enter the chat. People who only feel safe in rigid rules see your nuance as a threat, because if you can change, then that means that they could too. The mushroom medicine is very, very you. It's basically like decomposing what's stale, feeding what's next, and growing a whole forest out of yesterday's box. With the monk/nun and the empress, this is discipline and delight in the same body. It's structure and enjoyment all on the same page. You've probably had your fun, you've probably gone out there and worn the sexy nun costume or something like that, but under those jokes and that fun, there is real devotion to you. There's real attentiveness to your rituals, to your morning journaling, to your long walks that keep your channel clear. And then the Empress takes over and you receive. You're not chasing opportunity. You're making yourself irresistible to the ones that are truly meant for you. Creative projects, sweet connections, little windfalls. You can thrift a waistcoat and still radiate abundance because your field is very fertile. You can be profoundly nurturing and still choose to be child-free, or to be maternal to friends, art, animals, community. Your mantra is, you know, I don't force it. If it's for me, it finds me. And people in grind for worth mode hate how well that works for you, which is precisely why it does. So some examples of how your energy shows up in life and how it scares people. You will be the one to call out the joke that wasn't really a joke. You know, the table's laughing and they see your face and then they're like, oh, it's not that bad. And it's always punching down. It's a jab at women, it's a jab at queer people, it's another marginalized group. And you smile at them and you say, okay, explain it so everyone gets why it's funny. And then crickets. They thought that you were shy. They thought you would tolerate that until you weren't, until you didn't. You didn't yell. You just rearranged the gravity. You shifted the energy of the room, and you didn't even have to be aggressive to do it. You know, this could be, like we said, the romantic misread. A potential suitor identifies you as someone who dresses modest, so they assume you're as judgmental as they are about people who choose to dress differently. Or if you're alternative, that you'll be agreeable to edgy shock value comments. This person tests the waters with this remark about people wearing slutty outfits or something racist coded as concern, and you blink and you say, absolutely not. This person scrambles to rebrand themselves. They're like, oh, well, I didn't mean it like that, but they thought you'd agree with them. They thought you'd back them up. You know, they're like, oh, but I thought you were on my side. Like, you're white as well. What do you mean you won't laugh at this racist joke? What do you mean you won't agree with me about my comments about immigrants or something like that? But this is saying, like, the lesson here is your attention can't be gamed. It is only earned by integrity and people being authentic and truthful. And you see right through them when they're not, and they're scared of that. People are scared because you have found your true identity, and people are worried that it's not a phase this time. Because it feels like as you were finding yourself, there would always be people who would roll their eyes at you, or people who would say like, oh, this is Pal 3's latest hyperfixation, they're going to be going on about this, but this is actually your true identity. Like, why am I hearing, it's not a phase, mom? People used to say, you know, this is just another one of Pal 3's phases. You've explored 1,000 different aesthetics and belief systems and you've integrated them, but now your style is whatever you want it to be, whether it's grand parkour with the glitter eyeshadow or just whatever it is. Your values are progressive and grounded, and people are spooked because this version of you has true staying power. People are scared of you because you confront their belief that not everything exists in this box or in this binary. You are both. So you're blonde and you're smart. You're like Elle Woods. You love a luxury handbag, but you also are very spiritual. You meditate daily. You are cottagecore, but you're also feminist. You're deeply maternal, but you may choose to be child-free. You're very, very witchy, but you're also the kindest person who would never hurt a fly, but people get you wrong. People who sell binaries don't quite know where to place you, and so they fear you. I can definitely see you as somebody who gets judged for your appearance at face value. People assume things about you based on how you present. Maybe it's something to do with your rising sign, something to do with being intimidating, or people just getting you very, very wrong and underestimating you. Some people assume it's like you're unassuming as well, but you're not. Like, you very much have your own mind, and people can't trap you. They can't put you into this box. People are scared that you're actually making grounded, sustainable changes this time. So maybe before, like, the old you would go into patterns of being very all or nothing. So maybe, like, you said, oh, I'm trying to healthy eat, like, I'm going to lose this weight. And people would say, oh, whatever, like, you'll fall off the wagon like you always do. But they're scared because that isn't happening this time, because you've got a new way of doing things and you've integrated all this knowledge from all your different phases. You've learned what works and what doesn't, and now you've found something that feels true and authentic to you. And it's really working this time. And it's not like you failed the last times. It's like you figured out what you needed to know from those situations. You know, I'm getting the example of, like, you know, when people try to go like vegetarian or vegan overnight after eating meat their whole lives. I can understand the urge to do that, because if you now come to the belief that eating meat is wrong and you don't want to do it, it's easy to be like, you know, I need to cut all meat straight away, like, I don't want to buy it anymore. But it can be hard to adapt to that lifestyle when maybe you haven't done enough research yet on what is going to be healthy for you. For some people, you know, it's absolutely fine, they can do it overnight. But to play like devil's advocate here, and I say this as somebody who doesn't eat meat for ethical reasons, it's easier said than done. And yeah, to play devil's advocate, the rule of veganism is as far as is possible and practical, I believe. So for some people, it is not practical to do that overnight, because maybe that's wasting money and the current food they have in the house. It might be better to use that up first, and while you're planning to go veggie or vegan or something, to research like what's going to be healthy for me, what should I buy on this shop, to plan meals if you're not used to cooking without meat. Like, it's best to maybe do it in stages for somebody, especially if, you know, you don't have all the money in the world, or you're not as privileged as some influencer who's telling you that it's really easy to go vegan and anyone can do it immediately. I think anyone can make changes that are practical for them, but not everyone is on the same level of privilege, and I think it's important to understand that. Anyway, it's not a rant about that. I'm just saying, like, what you're doing is really working this time. So if it's habit changes that is supported by research, and it's like you're doing it slowly and integrating it over time, and you're understanding that there can be balance. And some people are frightened by that because they thought it would never work for you, but it is. There's proof of that now. Tangible proof with that emperor. He's all about tangible proof. You can see it working. It's the science and the spirituality, the logic and the intuition coming together. You have both of that. You have a very like nighttime energy about you. I'm getting something about dark feminine, maybe like Lilith energy, Hecate energy, Nyx energy as well. There's something about like you are at your best at night, like you come alive, you feel at home in the liminal hours. Some of you could wake up at like 3:30, 3 a.m. quite a lot. You're very fey-coded as well. It feels like people get scared because you can flirt and flit and they've already got feelings. I imagine people catch feelings for you very, very quickly, Pal 3. Maybe some of you play with fire a little bit, or you don't even know you're doing this. You just flirt and then, oopsie, somebody's caught feelings for you, and then you're like, oh no, I have to draw a line. I have to create a salt circle. Like, I need to flip my energy right away because I'm not into that person like that. So it scares people how quickly they fall under your mystical spell and how quickly they become attached to your energy and want to chase you into the forest with your little fairy friends. And when I say fairy friends, I don't mean fairy as in like fur, like dog fur. I mean fairy as in F-A-I-R-A, not F-U-R-R-Y. Although some of you, if you are fairies, that's fine, like no judgment from me, you do you. So who is most freaked out by you right now? Let's assess the profiles. So the misreader, the person who misread you, the person who saw your outfit and assumed your politics, saw your softness and assumed compliance. You corrected them once and now they are terrified to speak out of turn because they really don't want to get it wrong again, but they haven't done their homework and they didn't get it right, and that's on them. I'm also getting the fantasy writer, the person who tried to typecast you as their manic pixie dream fairy. And when you didn't play along, their Ace of Cups feelings got very real, and that's actually scarier than the fantasy. They fear that you've flown off with your mystic wings for good. The binary enforcer is scared of you. This person needs neat categories. They need to assign a certain label to you, and you can never escape that label. But your hermit wisdom and your death/temperance integration fries their brain. It makes them short circuit. They tell themselves this is a phase to comfort themselves, but your Emperor and Empress composure says, this is my life, this is what I believe, it's not a phase, you don't have to like it, but I exist, this is who I am, and I'm not apologising for it. And the person who's scared of you is the person who has a mouth on them, but can't really back up what they're saying with logic. They just rely on edgy comments to get a reaction and to maintain status. And your turn your tongue energy pulled the rug. You can answer back, you can call them out, you can roast them while being polite. They fear running into you because you will ask the one question they can't answer. You know, it's that, go on, explain the joke, tell everyone why it's funny. And then they see how unfunny it is, and then they feel very unfunny, and then they feel very humiliated because you've just called them out in front of everybody. They didn't think anyone was going to do that. So they're scared of bumping into you for that reason. So how your power lands in rooms and how it scares people. Well, you collapse their performance. People can't really peacock around you because you will feel the real seam where the costume ends. You see through fakery, you see through mask. You also make silence loud. The way your expression is like a single eyebrow raise from you can do more than an entire monologue. One sentence from you can do more than an entire monologue. You barely have to say anything. It's like you just look at people and they're scared. You shift the weather, you shift the atmosphere of the room. Like, you can go from playful breeze to protective storm in an instant, and people remember that feeling. Part of your power is you also heal by simply existing and refusing to shrink yourself, whether you're neurodivergent, whether you're queer, whether you're witchy, whether you're grandpacore, cottagecore, goth. Your very, bothness, duality that you embody, it gives others permission to be plural too. And that is medicine, and it threatens rigid systems. We talked about rigid systems in PAL 2, so that might be relevant. But yeah, you threaten people like that. So I think your gentle guidance is to trust these temperance moments, trust the balance, keep the calibration, protect the essentials, sleep, water, food, movement, and art. It keeps that faith fire bright without leading you to burnout. I'd say pick your battles wisely. Don't invest your energy on things that don't deserve it. You make people feel a certain type of way, intimidated, even if you just ask them a question or even if you just look at them in certain instances. So sometimes it goes without saying. You warm people just with your eyes alone. You don't need to do anything else. I'm getting let softness lead, like the Empress magnetizes what chases the Emperor. You don't have to prove, just simply receive. And in terms of this person, it's like they wobble when you hold them to their words, but you create accountability just by being precise. Your presence opens hearts, including your own, and that makes performative people nervous. You're not afraid to end cycles, to integrate and to rise again and again, and that's terrifying for anyone hoping that you'll just stay small. Your truth has a backbone, it has a spine. You don't dim or cosplay to soothe the room, and you've done the quiet work. Your nuance exposes people's rigidity. You're also capable of sacred discipline and sensuous receiving. Your life grows better and bolder because you don't force it. So PAL 3, you are the plot twist. You're the fairy who keeps receipts. You're the soft hand that can also ring the bell and cause a ruckus. You don't just scare people, you re-educate the room on what power can look like. It can look principled and playful, and it can look beautifully paradoxical. You can do it all, and I love this for you, pal 3. So that's what I'm getting for your reading today, pal 3. We are just going to finish your reading by getting some tea leaf confirmations. Okay, pal 3, we have got Rose, romance is in the air. Okay, somebody has a crush on you, pal 3, and maybe is scared of you too. We have June. We have Forest, muddled, unclear thinking. And we have Shield, you need to defend yourself. I don't know why, but I'm getting that Taylor Swift lyric. I feel like it's come through in one of my readings before. Like, I'm a nightmare dressed like a daydream or something. So that could be about how people get you wrong. But yeah, with the Rose card, someone is both obsessed and very scared. It's like they thought you were just the rose, but then they clocked the thorns. But if they want to pluck you, they have to hold the whole flower. It's beauty and danger, softness and standards. You know, you might have the lush rosy lips that are so inviting, but you also have those spiky thorns when you need to. And people are scared, perplexed, but also very enchanted. Rose petals could be significant, maybe rose quartz, something about the colour pink. I can imagine somebody asking you, you know that trend where people ask, like, is it pink? I can imagine you, like, flipping out on somebody who would ask you that. I've seen reels of this. There's like that one joke where it's a reel of a girl like eating a steak or something, and the guy asks, is it pink? And she thinks he's talking about something else, so she like flips her lid and he's like, no, I'm on about the steak. So I don't know, that could be relevant. You could be like, what the fuck did you just say to me? But duality is the point. Like, you can go from soft to like not crashing out, but being opinionated, let's say. But yeah, people can't box you in or script you, and that's what thrills them. They like it, but it feels a bit dangerous. June could be relevant here. I think we got this in Pal 2, but I'm getting like Gemini or Cancer cusp vibes. Or maybe you have those placements in your chart. I'm also getting something about Midsummer, the film Midsummer, like that eerie, sun-drenched vibe. And the way Florence Pugh's character flips, that's like reminding me of your energy. I'm not saying you're like that character, or I'm not saying it's as extreme as that, but the way like she fully gets embroiled into that cult and she's doing things by the end of the film that she probably wouldn't have ever imagined at the beginning. Like, maybe this person is kind of the boyfriend's point of view from that film. Like, he's kind of like, what do you mean you're gonna let them put me in this bear and set me on fire? Not that extreme, but it's kind of that thing of like, well, I can be someone totally different, like when I need to be, and you can integrate that quickly into your life. You guys might love women's rights and women's wrongs. You might love women's revenge stories, dark feminine arts, female rage, stories that explore that. Something about killing Eve, maybe killing Eve is relevant. You can be so sweet sometimes, but why am I wanting to say sweet but psycho? I don't mean that you're psycho, but I'm just getting that song. With Forest, this is for the hot girls who love a good nature walk. But maybe this card is mostly them. Like, I'm hearing the phrase, I can't see the forest for the trees. So their usual trick, which is performing a personality to match the room, that doesn't land with you. You value authenticity. And they thought they could get away with it this time, but they misread your vibe. Like, they looked at you and they thought, oh, you present as X, so you must believe in Y, but they got it very, very wrong. And now they're tangled in this second guessing. They're trying to work out, like, how to go forward when they can't get a real handle on you. But again, you value real over performative, and they're learning that they'll either have to be authentic or exit stage left. It's the only map through your woods. If they want to explore your mythical forest, they'll have to get through some thorns. And with Shield, you need to defend yourself. Yeah, you do defend yourself, and you defend your people as well, and I think that's why people fear you. You do it without apology. I can imagine like people getting butthurt if you're out with your friends and like somebody is hitting on your friend and they are clearly uncomfortable but they don't want to say anything. I can imagine you being that person who looks sweet as pie and you will smile at someone and you will just say, can you leave my friend the fuck alone, please? Like, I can imagine you stepping up for your pal, and yet terrifies people. You will also block people out as needed. You can be silent. Sometimes silence terrifies the people around you. It's like they might rush to fill it. You might notice that, but they might sometimes like feel like they've said the wrong thing, or they might crack the wrong joke, and then they spiral about scaring you off. People get scared about scaring you off. To them, your boundaries might read as guarded, but to you, they are simply standards. You don't want to let anyone get to know you if they're not up to your standards. They don't get that access. They don't get to know you like that. Your energy is quite exclusive. And that scares people. Again, they want to like fill in the blanks. But message here is like, keep the shield up where it's earned and only let in what's honest. If they want access, they'll need to tell the truth, not tap dance around it. So yeah, that is what I'm getting for you, pile 3. I really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please like the video, please give me a little thumbs up. That would just help me so much. Please comment if you get a chance. Any engagement really helps me. Please let me know what resonated, if anything did. If you don't feel comfortable letting me know what resonated, I totally get it. Just tell me which pile you picked, or just leave an emoji, something like that. Your help and support would mean the world to me. Don't forget to hype, share and sub if you haven't done so already. With all of that said, I just want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for spending this time with me and sending your beautiful energy. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, pile 3. Hi Baffle Collective, if you chose the Plastics Oracle, a Mean Girls Tarot, and you chose the Boo Pumpkin sticker, and you chose pile 4, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled, How Does Your Power Scare and Mystify Others? Who is freaking out about you and why? This reading is going to explore how your energy makes people glitch. Basically how you spook, unsettle, intimidate, perplex and enchant in the best way. We're going to look at how that shows up in your real life and who is currently the most spooked and why. If you would like a full reading breakdown, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. But without further hesitation, let's take a look at the cards we pulled for you and let's see what your energy is doing to the room, pile 4. I'm just going to move your sticker to one side for now. We are going to be looking at oracle cards and tarot cards as we always do. So let's have a look. Over here we have got Surprise from the I Don't Care Oracle, and the clarifying tarot card is the Queen of Swords. From the Pasteloween Oracle we have got Wicked Bite, Temptation Calls, Take a Sweet Risk, Nourish your soul, rewards await you, savor the sweetness. And the clarifying tarot card is the 7 of Wands. From the Audacity deck, we have got the Dead End Job. And the clarifying tarot card is the 5 of Swords. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Hidden in Plain Sight. And the clarifying tarot card is the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. From the Mushroom Oracle, we have got Tremella Yin, number 10. And the clarifying tarot card is Knight of Wands. From the Archetypes Oracle, we have got Athlete, Light Attributes, Dedication to Transcending Physical Limits, including handicaps, Development of Personal Willpower and Strength of Spirit, Shadow Attributes, Misuse of Athletic Ability for Selfish Ends, False Sense of Invulnerability and Entitlement. And the clarifying tarot card is the 3 of Swords. I always like to start these readings by mentioning the confirmations that are coming through right off the bat. These don't have to apply for this to be your pile. These are just extra specific confirmations for specific people. It's just that little bit of extra clarity. So the number 10 or the number 1 might be significant. This could be in terms of a date, an age, a life path, a synchronicity you'll see in a lot of. The 1st or 10th house could be relevant. Themes surrounding the 1st or 10th house, so maybe to do with identity and appearance, maybe to do with career and reputation. We've got Aries and Mars energy coming through, and we've got Capricorn and Saturn coming through. Those could be relevant signs or placements for you. I'm getting something about a surprise party for somebody. I'm seeing silly string. I'm also seeing somebody pulling a Christmas cracker. Maybe somebody is going to like a very early Christmas event. I'm seeing like a personalized cake. But you know, specifically one of those cakes where like it's done to a very particular like niche aesthetic, and like it has some kind of personalized message on it, and sometimes it's something a little bit snarky. So if you were like someone who had a bit of a morbid humor or something like that, you could get an all black cake, like really fancy with all black frosting and everything, and then there might be a message on it like 1 year closer to death, and it has a little like tombstone or something. It's very personalized. I'm seeing specifically a cake like that has something a little bit different. So somebody could have got like a personalized cake for their birthday. There's something about sports and gymnastics coming through. I'm seeing a gum shield. I'm also seeing shin pads. Somebody here could have hypermobility or be very flexible. Somebody here has like always been able to do the splits even as they got older. Like maybe you can still do the splits, or you could do it for a very long time compared to your peers. I'm also seeing, I don't know why, but the specific scene in Final Destination, the gymnastics scene. So maybe somebody has watched, I can't remember which one it is, but that Final Destination recently. Somebody could be going to a bridal fitting soon, either like you have a wedding coming up, or you're a bridesmaid or something like that, or you're seeing somebody try on a wedding dress. There is something about a dead-end office job coming through. Maybe somebody has recently left what they feel was like a dead-end job, but I'm seeing, you know, that like stereotypical grey soulless office with like the fluorescent lights and the endless corridors. It's giving like backrooms vibes. It's giving like Severance vibes with the very like sterile cubicles, like you can't even decorate your desk. Maybe somebody left a call center that was like that, or maybe somebody here like dreams about the back rooms, but it's this weird office set up at the same time. I'm getting something about cozy bakes, somebody making an apple or blueberry crumble. I'm getting something about a pumpkin pie. That's very seasonal. I'm getting something about orthodontics. Maybe somebody works in orthodontics, or they've seen somebody about their bite correction. I'm getting something about a dental nurse or a dental hygienist. Somebody could have like had a recent jump scare, or like you could have done this to someone. So I'm seeing like somebody comes around the corner and another person jumps out at them and says like boo. So you could have literally scared someone like that. I'm getting that somebody's just bought a new mascara, but they found out that it wasn't waterproof. Maybe you wore this new mascara and you got caught in the rain or something. But like I said, none of this has to resonate for this to be your pile. These are just random extra confirmations. So why people are scared of you, pile 4. First things first, with your energy, I'm hearing that people are saying to you, it was you the whole time, like it was you all along. And there's almost this energy of like people who thought that they had you figured out and they had neatly filed you under like this role of safe sidekick background character are doing full-on double takes, because they didn't expect it to be you. That's what I'm getting. They didn't expect it to be you. They didn't expect you to be a threat. That's what I'm hearing. Not only are you not an NPC, you are clearing levels that they assumed were reserved for them. They never thought it would be you. This isn't you becoming someone else, by the way. Like, you always had this power all along. I just want you to know that, powerful. It's you finally letting yourself be seen. It's like you've been building quietly. You've been sharpening your standards. And you've been moving like this strategic chess player while they have been like performing for the crowd. And now there's this mask off moment where this moment's arrived and the room is clocking what was always simmering under the surface, which is your power, your brains, your bite, your boundaries, and a results trail that speaks for itself. And yes, there is this energy coming through. You did pick the Mean Girls Tarot, so I have a feeling you knew this was coming, powerful. There is a bit of like a high school mean girl turned a bit feral energy coming through, not from you, from the person that's scared of you. I'm not saying this has to be a woman, but they do have like a mean girl energy. There's a character coming through that's like that. So we could be talking about a particular frenemy, a colleague, an ex-classmate, a sibling, a cousin, or anyone basically who's long relied on comparison to feel tall, to elevate themselves. And your rise, it didn't attack them. It didn't attack them because it's nothing to do with them. You do this for you. But it exposed how much of their identity leaned on you staying small. That is the problem here. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So how this is showing up in the 3D. This could be somebody who is like, they've always identified, for example, as being the pretty one. And now people are doing double takes looking at you. Now people are coming up to you. And they're almost preparing, thinking like, oh, this person's going to ask for my number. And actually they want to talk to you. And this person is shook by that. This could be, for example, you glowed up very physically within your style, your body, your health, and this person is rattled. This could be you being commended or promoted in your field, and they assumed that that seat was theirs and it was open for them to take. They didn't even think you'd get in their way. This could be that you have got the engagement to your partner, the family, the healthy relationship that they were so sure that they would secure first. They're saying it was meant for me first. This could be you traveling, leveling up your home, living the life you once whispered about, and people being shook that they didn't get to do it. Maybe you lost the weight, you hit a wellness goal, and you kept it off with discipline and not shortcuts. But basically, the timeline that this person imagined for themselves, it seems to be landing in your lap. And it's got them scared. It's got their whole fragile sense of identity, confused. Somebody uses herbal essences shampoo. I'm sorry, that's another confirmation that's coming through. I'm getting like, I'm picturing, do you remember, I don't know if the adverts are still like this, but the old herbal essences adverts of people like shampooing their hair in the jungle, that hidden in plain sight card is reminding me of that. Anyway, let's talk about the cards a little bit. So from the I Don't Care Oracle with that surprise card and the Queen of Swords, do you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing that Scooby-Doo meme. Do you know where Fred, the blonde guy, is his name Fred? I think so. The meme where he's like pulling off the mask, and people have made like loads of different memes with it, but there's this sense of like, oh, it's you. The same you that this person dismissed as like quiet or nice or not a threat is now reading as razor sharp, composed, and crystal clear. They got you so wrong and now they're mad about it. This Queen of Swords is your intellectual sovereignty. You spot nonsense, you name it, you don't flinch. You're not cruel with it, you're precise, but from their angle, this is where the scrambling begins. They start searching for these loopholes to explain your wins because it doesn't make sense to them. This was meant for them and you've got it. And because they're projecting, they think like, you must have cheated, you must have found a shortcut. So if you've got a new job, you must have had somebody help write your resume. If you have managed to lose some weight, they'll be like, oh, you're on Ozempic, right? You don't buy, you let outcomes talk. Your boundary is the surprise. The moment you stop filling in the blanks for them, they had to face the truth that their read of you was purely projection. And then it's just nothing but stunned silence and this slightly manic smile. They're looking at you and you can almost sense their eyeball twitching. Like, what do you mean you got the promotion? What do you mean you've achieved this before me? Basically, this person wrote your name on the safe seat. They assigned a label. They were like, I don't have to worry about part 4. And they never revisited it because it served their hierarchy at the time. And your simple shift from over-explaining to here are the results is the plot twist. The Queen of Swords is also the end of their burn book logic, the lazy labels, the petty edits to your story. When you stop giving them soft corners to grab onto, your apologies, your disclaimers, your nervous filler, their power move, one-upping you in front of an audience, that thing that they tried to do, it lost all of its oxygen, it fell flat. That's why you're seeing this brittle laugh, the sudden fact-checking of your very normal sentences, the times where they'll say to you, oh, I'm just playing devil's advocate, that routine. The translation of that is, I don't know how to live in a world where your clarity outranks my curation of who I think you are. They got you so wrong. With Wicked Bite and the Seven of Wands, Wicked Bite is the sting that this person felt the moment that your upgrade landed. The Seven of Wands is their point of view after. They are suddenly guarding their perch like it's the last seat on the lifeboat. This person has built a whole identity around being on top. Whatever that means for them, whatever would make sense in your dynamic, you know, the prettiest, the most qualified, the most connected, the loudest. It's like head hen energy. And your rise, again, it didn't attack them, but it exposed the fact that their status was propped up by comparison. So who is this person? This person is the gatekeeper. This could be your colleague, maybe a senior colleague who's been the default choice for promotions, and your competence collapses that default. This could be the frenemy who felt hotter or more interesting next to you, and your glow up removes their contrast filter. This could be the sibling or the cousin cast as the star while you were always the quiet one, and that script is no longer true. This could be the ex-classmate or the local rival who peaked on external validation, who probably peaked in high school, and in terms of like putting all emphasis on external things like looks, followers, name drop access, and this person never built depth. This could be a manager of the whisper network, you know, someone who uses gossip as power, who panics when receipts replace rumors. And why this person is defensive, the real drivers in this, if it's not already obvious, this person views things through a scarcity lens. Other people getting attention or success feels like they're losing out on something. And it's funny, we've got that Knight of Wands card, and it's pointing out the quote in Mean Girls that says, "4 for you, Glen Coco." I'm thinking of the bit where it's like, and none for Gretchen Wieners. This person is Gretchen Wieners. They feel like by somebody else being praised, they lose out. They're defensive because of the sunk cost identity that they've invested in. They have convinced themselves that they are special, they are unique, they are the best. So anything where they feel like they're in a tie with somebody, or somebody is ahead of them, somebody is getting the gold medal instead of them, somebody is the best of the best, that feels like a huge loss. I also feel like this person very much relies on external validation, audience dependency. Their self-worth is outsourced to applause. If there's someone clapping for you, it means there's less people clapping for them, and they need that in a way that maybe you don't depend on quite as much. They have exposure anxiety too. Your clean process highlights their shortcuts or their performative grind. And essentially, they just kind of feel like they're losing control. They kept you in place with jokes or with advice or with gatekeeping, but your boundary broke the spell here. And in terms of how this kind of defensiveness and competition manifests, you might clock that this person gives you barbed compliments. They might copy you and then they might compete with you. It might always feel like they're pecking your ankles with their little jibes. You might notice that they have a tight smile and they're always giving you like a quick head to toe scan. Whenever you walk in, they're assessing you. They might try and push back when it comes to your wins. Like when it comes to your wins, they don't want to hear about it. Or they're like, oh, are you sure you're ready? They try and make you doubt yourself. They're always trying to undermine you. And sometimes there's this trigger moment and their defense mechanisms are activated. So basically when they get proof of your success, when you say, yep, I'm ready, I'm going for it, or when you say to them, don't speak to me like that, or when you show them an actual receipt, like an offer letter for a job, your engagement picture, a booking confirmation, something they're jealous of, their humiliation reads as a threat. So they armor up and their 7 of Wands is activated. And this is essentially them going into that energy of like Regina George in Free Fall, crashing out, you know, the person who secretly prefers bad news about others because it calms their nervous system. This is giving like the speech Regina does before she gets hit by the bus, where everything comes out. You know, this person is the type to smile a little bit too quickly when you mention a setback. They check in with you only to collect intel, but they're only interested when something is going wrong. They treat life like a leaderboard and they moralize their edge as virtue. And the thing is, it's always been privilege. Maybe they've had things easier than you thus far, and that's why they've got some of the things that they have, but they tried to present it as like, I just have more discipline, I have better taste, I have superior work ethic. They presented these things as if they were deserving of them by default, and the fact that they have them makes them special and stand out to other people who have grafted for the things they have. So for example, like this could be, I don't know, like let's use the weight loss example. Like if this is somebody who has been skinny their whole life and who has never had to work to lose weight, if they compare themselves to a larger person, it's like they would punch down and be like, well, you just need to have more discipline like me, even if they've never actually worked for it. Even if they just got lucky that they never had to like watch what they ate. But that bigger person who, you know, makes the effort to actually change their lifestyle and loses 10 pounds, even if they are still big, at the end of that, they have a ton more willpower and discipline, and they understand hard work better than this person ever could just because this person was granted with certain privileges. It doesn't have to be that example, but basically the fact that you are now getting some of these successes, it like shatters their worldview somehow, that they are deserving of more than other people for no reason. A lot of it was just look and optics for this person, you know, things like pretty privilege, social proximity, being loud in rooms that reward loud. Your win removes that alibi. The 7 of Wands here is pride plus panic. They are not protecting a goal. They are protecting an identity that exists only if you stay under. That's why their defensiveness reads oversized to the moment. Like you say something and suddenly they're crashing out. You stepped forward and they felt erased. You didn't erase them, you just stopped being their backdrop. You stopped being their prop. So with the dead end job and the 5 of Swords, here's where their spiral gets very loud and very evident. The dead end job is the life they curated for optics, for like a title or prestige or status, just something to do. They're saying, I've always done it this way. And now that feels beige, it feels airless, it feels nothing to what you're cultivating. And 5 of Swords is the fallout from that realization, you know, petty battles, words as weapons, and winning that feels kind of hollow. You know, this person, they might be trying to do some point scoring in work meetings, they might nitpick you in emails, they might bait you into debates where the only prize is regret. You know, think Regina George in the downfall montage, performative power plays that cost them allies. They might even try to like rewrite history. They might say to people like, well, they only got that opportunity because of me, like I made them who they are, things like that, when actually all they tried to do was like keep you down or keep you trapped. But they want to like try and act like they were part of this come up. And the thing is, you can let them do that. Like the Five of Swords is a trap where essentially both parties lose if you engage, and your move is just Queen of Swords energy. It's staying calm, it's logging the facts, it's escalating through the proper channel if needed, and refusing to stoop to their level. This person might try and engage in one-upmanship. You know, you mention something that you achieved, and then they butt in saying, well, actually, I just did XYZ. It's stories that hijack your moment. It's friendly corrections delivered just loud enough for an audience. The way they pivot conversation towards your weak spots, because that's where they used to win. I can imagine this person being that girl in high school who, if you're quiet, she's like, oh my god, you like never talk. Like, why are you so quiet in front of people? Like, bringing attention to it. You know the kind I mean. Like, this is that kind of person. But unfortunately, you know, Mean Girls energy doesn't just die out in school. You meet these people throughout your adult life, people who have never grown out of it, people who want that power, which was never real power, but people who want that back because they don't have anything else to cling to. You know, this person, they never built their own stamina, they built spectacle. And now when your results outrank them, they pick zero-sum fights to feel tall again. So let them perform if they want to. They're not doing what they think they're doing. Five of Swords burns bridges that they still need, but you don't have to walk into the flames with them. With Hidden in Plain Sight and the Nine of Pentacles, the thing is, Powerful, you were always capable, you always had this power in you. They just couldn't or wouldn't see it. It would destroy them. You know, Hidden in Plain Sight says your power didn't just appear overnight, it revealed. Meanwhile, the Nine of Pentacles reversed is their internal weather. This is outer achievements that they brag about that don't land in their body. This is them having imposter syndrome. It's them feeling restless. It's wondering, like, is this it? It's them feeling apathy. It's them trying to get dopamine highs by copying your routine, you know, maybe going to your gym, joining your course, imitating your style, trying to feel what you feel by wearing it on the outside. But you, on the other hand, you are building satisfaction from the inside out. You're implementing standards that feel good in your nervous system. You're not trying to be successful just for show. And they are jealous not just of the results, but of how settled you are. And this is kind of where that pretty privilege myth cracks. You know, for years, they confused unearned ease with moral superiority. Again, they're that person who's like, I'm slim because I'm disciplined. I'm chosen because I'm exceptional. Now the universe asks them to work, and work is boring. You know, the consistency, the humility, the showing up every day. They've never done that before. They don't know how to, but you're doing it and it shows. Their version is fast follow and photo first. Yours is habit first and body based. That's why their new wins don't stick. You know, the Nine of Pentacles reverse keeps saying there's no contentment there if it isn't yours on the inside, but they're so much more concerned with what's on the outside. With the Tremella Yin card and the Knight of Wands, they read your yin energy, your receptivity, your composure, your softness. They read that incorrectly as passivity. But the plot twist here is that you pair that yin with that Knight of Wands action, you know, bold when it matters, disciplined about momentum, and very uninterested in flailing around for attention. That balance is terrifying to someone who chases dopamine like this person. They sprint and then they burn out, and then they need external applause to refuel. Whereas you, it's like you pace, recover, and you keep gliding. You will happily wait for right-timed opportunities, and then you strike with precision. That's how you came out of nowhere, because you didn't waste time in the wrong places, chasing thrills. Yin is you listening to that timing, not resisting recovery. The Knight of Wands is you taking the clean shot. They have built a personality on motion, so they don't have to sit with themselves, so they don't have to consider what they truly value. You know, new scheme, new aesthetic, new crusade, but the through line is adrenaline, not mastery. Whereas your bite is protected, your breath is even, your moves are coached, not chaotic. When the bell rings, you don't flail, you simply execute, and they're exhausted and confused because for the first time, effort, not optics, is the currency and you have got the savings. They don't have the credentials to back up what they're saying, what they're claiming. And with Athlete and the Three of Swords, this is the headline here. You trained, you showed up with consistency, with stamina, with discipline. You did the internal work, the work that isn't always glamorous on the surface. Athlete says that you moved from potential to performance, and the Three of Swords is their heartbreak as the fantasy cracks. You know, it hurts their pride that the gold medal went to the one that they didn't bet on. They didn't even think you were in the race, and now you're taking the title. Again, they didn't expect it to be you, and it was you the whole damn time. Also, I'm clocking the shadow aspect here. Misuse of athletic ability, that's them. Competing to be seen competing, chasing optics, burning bridges for hollow wins. You aren't racing them, you're racing yesterday you, and that's why you keep pulling ahead. You can almost feel the pop, like a balloon meeting a pin when they realise applause won't carry them over the finish line this time. Their grief isn't really about you, it's about the story that they've told themselves since high school, you know, that they're so special, they're so gifted, they're like, I'm first by nature, and your existence proves first is built, not bestowed, and that is the hard truth. And it is also not your problem, pile 4. And you will clock this person because when this person tells you, I'm so happy for you, you will see that their smile doesn't meet their eyes. In the background, they're asking, why wasn't it me though? When they ask you, are you sure you're ready for this? They're saying, please doubt yourself so I feel safer. When they say, you know, we're just worried you're moving too fast, they're saying, you're moving faster than me and I don't like it. When they tell you you've changed, they're saying you stopped being available for my hierarchy and that scares me. When they brush you off and they tell you it's not that deep after saying something insulting, they're saying it pierced my pride and I don't know how to regulate. But in terms of gentle advice, pal 4, I want you to know that it's more than okay for you to keep doing you. You don't need to explain yourself. Keep racing yesterday you. Your only lane is yours. Their leaderboard is imaginary. It's something they've made up in their head. You don't even have to give it any attention. Hold your Queen of Swords calm. Don't let them rattle you. Decline their little Five of Swords invites. If the win is a hollow argument that you haven't got time for, do not play. I would say document, don't dramatize. So save emails, note dates, loop in the right channel as needed. Definitely don't shrink your joy. Celebrate privately or loudly, just don't dim because somebody's prickly about it. Protect your nervous system first and foremost too. Mute, limit, or go grey rock with chronic one-uppers like this person. It could be worthwhile to invest in real allies, so building with people who genuinely want to see you thrive and who clap when you win. Keep it being consistent, keep your training rhythm. You don't have to be in adrenaline mode. You also don't have to be in that mode where you are trying to rescue somebody who doesn't want to be rescued. You know, their grief over their lost privileges is theirs to process. Update the way you talk to yourself as well. If they make you feel like you're not deserving, remind yourself, I deserve to be here. Give yourself a pep talk. So you didn't steal anyone's crown, pal 4, you stopped holding it for somebody else. The person who spooked built a throne on comparison and assumed that you would sit below it. You stood up, you adjusted your crown, and everyone realised the main character was you the whole time. So that is what I'm getting for your reading, pal 4. We are just going to end your reading with some tea leaf confirmations. So let's have a look at what we pulled for you. Okay, so we've got Firecracker, Excitement. We have got Rooster, an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. We have got Kite, Vacation. And we have got Dark Man, dealings or relationship with a man with dark complexion or hair. So with Firecracker, I feel like your life is lighting the fuse right now. Whereas theirs may have like peaked already, you're only just stepping into the best and juiciest chapter. And it's okay to feel that spark and it's okay to enjoy it, pal 4. You know, if this was once a friend and their season is stormy, if they've had a breakup or a job loss or a bit of an emotional wobble, you don't have to rub salt in, but you also don't have to dim. You can be compassionate and come home to your loving spouse with flowers, and you can let yourself smile even if your friend has been through a breakup. That does not make you a bad person. Their grief is theirs to process, your joy is yours to live, and it's just getting more exciting for you. So keep some wins close to your chest if that protects your peace, but allow yourself to be excited because you earn this. It's your time and you're allowed to enjoy it. With Rooster, like, yeah, that definitely tracks with this person. This person's got a big strut. They're always crowing loudly, but there's not a lot of substance. You know, think flock dynamics. Lots of crowing for attention, someone with their chest puffed out, pecking at people's ankles to feel tall. But in some coops, you know, the hens will check the rooster pretty damn fast because under the noise, he's actually small. This person's ego needs your reaction to feel powerful, so do not feed it. No need to cross them, just don't engage. Your lane, your pace, your outcomes. The louder they spiral, the calmer you stay. With Kite, you're the kite. You're flying high. You're catching the wind. They love to tug you back down to earth, but you are already above the tree line. You've got new views, new stamps, new rooms that actually see you. You see a new place to belong. You know, this could literally point to a trip, maybe a restorative break, maybe work travel, a weekend away. Maybe that gives you space from this person's antics and it allows you to reset your nervous system. But metaphorically speaking, this is about elevation. You're moving higher than their reach and they can't pull you down. With a dark man, this could literally be somebody with dark hair or a dark complexion whose attention lands on you and it triggers their jealousy. So this could be like their crush, maybe your partner, your boss. This could be a dark-haired friend or ally on your side who clocks this person's nonsense and quietly backs you. I'm seeing like somebody with a slick back ponytail. I'm seeing like a dark ponytail. Somebody could wear their hair like that. Or it could be like metaphorically archetypal dark energy, you know, control, power hoarding, gatekeeping. In this masculine package, you're no longer available to appease. But whatever it is, you don't have to change a thing because you're flying high, you're not succumbing to their darkness. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pal 4. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please do me a massive favour. Please like the video. Please comment if you get a chance. Please let me know what resonated. Any engagement would help me so much. I understand if you don't feel comfortable letting me know what resonated, but please, if you can, take the time out to leave a little comment. Just put an emoji, just let me know which pal you picked. All of that would help me so much. If you haven't done so already, please hype the video, please share, please sub if you would like to. With all of that said, I just want to thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you for listening. Take care and I will see you in the next one, Pal 4. Hi Pal 5 Collective. If you chose the Starbright Tarot and you chose the eyeball sticker and you chose Pal 5, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. Today's reading is titled, How Does Your Power Scare and Mystify Others? Who is freaking out about you and why? Basically, we're exploring how your energy makes people glitch, how you spook, unsettle, intimidate, perplex, and enchant in the best way. We're going to explore what that looks like in your real life and who is currently the most spooked and why. If you would like a full reading breakdown, please check out my introduction and go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. With all of that said, without any further hesitation, let's get started, have a look at the cards we pulled for you, and let's see what your power is doing to the room, Pal 5. I'm just going to pop your eyeball sticker to one side. As usual, we are looking at oracle cards and tarot cards today. Okay, so from the I Don't Care Oracle, we have got Better Alone Than In Bad Company. Okay, that's an interesting start. And the clarifying tarot card is the World Reversed. From the Pasteloween Oracle deck, we have Chilling Blend. And there's an eyeball there too. Expect surprises, try new quirky combinations, willing to shake things up, thrilling adventures. The clarifying tarot card is the Five of Pentacles. Okay. From the Audacity deck, we have got the Last Straw. Okay. And the clarifying tarot card is the Eight of Pentacles. From the Wild Muse Oracle, Confessions. And the clarifying tarot card is the Hermit, Retreat, Reversed. From the Mushroom Oracle, we have got number 15, Golden Teacher, Magic Mushroom, Introspection. And the clarifying tarot card is the Fool, Innocence. And from the Archetypes Oracle, we have got Servant, Light Attributes, delights in serving others with a free and loving heart, Shadow Attribute, using the lack of money as an excuse not to move forward with life. Somebody could be a Baroque. I mean, no offense, like, I'm poor as well. And the clarifying tarot card is the Six of Pentacles, Sharing. Okay, that's interesting with Servant. I usually like to start these readings by mentioning some initial confirmations that I'm getting. These do not have to resonate at all for this to be your pile. I just like to mention them in case they do resonate for specific people. It might just be one thing, it might be a few of them, it might be none of them, and that is all absolutely fine. So I usually start by mentioning the numbers. We have number 15. So the number 1, the number 5, or the number 6 might be relevant for you. This could be in terms of a date, an age, a birthday, a life path, an astrological house, or the sign associated with that house. So could be Aries vibes, could be Leo vibes, could be Virgo vibes, Mars, Sun, and Mercury themes coming through. First house themes, appearance, physical self. Fifth house, creativity and play. Somebody here, it feels like, is getting their vitality back after a period of illness or isolation. Somebody is rebuilding their routines. Somebody is making the healthy and smart choice. Sleep paralysis could be relevant here. Somebody has had some sleep issues. I'm getting like a heavy chest feeling. But somebody, it's like that feeling is lifted after somebody has confessed something or they've spoken their truth. So that could be relevant, like an honest conversation with somebody, and now it's like a weight has been lifted. That's what I'm getting. Something about the ring is coming through, specifically, is it Samara, the girl in the ring? I'm seeing like when she's coming out of the TV. But now I've just heard Cindy, the TV is leaking. So maybe Scary Movie is relevant. Somebody could be rewatching that. I'm hearing The Mist. Is that the Stephen King book? Is it a show as well? Something about The Mist, old horror movies. Some of you live on coffee. You can't go a day without your expensive coffee or without caffeine. Somebody has just bought an ice maker. And then I just heard from AliExpress. So somebody has just bought an ice maker. I know that's very specific from AliExpress. I'm also hearing the phrase, I'm not your chambermaid. Like, you don't want to empty someone's bedpan for them, is what you're saying. I'm seeing Moira from the first season of American Horror Story. I'm seeing a hammock. Somebody could have recently bought a hammock, a swing set, or an egg chair, or if you have one of those things in your garden, it's like your safe space. I'm seeing somebody always ask for a straw with their drink because they don't like to smudge their lipstick or lip gloss. They like it to stay pristine. With this card with the tiger on it, I'm getting Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'm hearing somebody say, I just want some peace. Somebody wants some peace and quiet. I'm also hearing the lyrics to, I can't remember what the song's called, but it's this song by Anastasia, and she's like, I wonder if you know how it really feels to be left outside alone when it's cold out here. Don't know why that's coming through. Oh no, I do. It's because of the Five of Pentacles that's coming through. There's something about the Northern Lights coming through. Maybe somebody wants to go and see the Northern Lights, or somebody has been. Something about thunderstorm. Maybe there's been a recent thunderstorm in your area. And, you know, you picking the eyeball sticker, it makes me think like it's paining someone to look at you, but they keep looking, like somebody is eyeballing you, somebody is trying to find out some information. They find it painful to observe you, but they don't want to look away, so they still carry on watching. That could be relevant. Maybe somebody, if you've had a feeling that someone's stalking you on social media, it could be something like that, trying to like get in your business. Maybe they're scared that they can't do that after some kind of confession. But yeah, let's get on to the official reading. Those were your confirmations. So in terms of your energy, Pal 5, I actually really feel for you guys because people misread you constantly. You carry caretaker magic. That life path 6 frequency, whether or not that is your life path, it's actually my life path, so I guess I've read a little bit about it and that kind of energy is coming through here. But it's like, you are someone who loves hard. You are perceived as reliable, very warm. You are that person who says like, yeah, I'll bring you the soup. I'll take a look at your spreadsheet and I'll hold your hand while you cry. You are the kind of person who would pull over for an injured animal. You would take in all the waifs and strays that you find on the street. You will keep snacks in just in case. You remember everyone's lactose intolerance and their favourite mug. You remember little things about people. But here's the thing that the room is finally learning. It's that your care is sacred, not free. It's a gift, not a job description. And for a long time, some people have treated your generosity like, this is a weird example, but I want to say plumbing. Invisible until it breaks. Like, I feel like this is the worst example that I could give, but you know how people take for granted things like running water or a working toilet? Like, you don't ever say thank you to the toilet until it breaks, and then you appreciate having a working toilet. I'm sorry, I'm not comparing you to a toilet. Like, this is such a random example, but people just take it for granted, is what I'm saying. Like, it's expected to flow 24/7. It's like some people moralize your labor. They said, like, oh, you're just so good at this. Can you do this? Can you do that? And they confuse your kindness with consent. Meanwhile, it was always you, like, quietly picking up tabs, running errands, doing invisible labor, you know, emotional labor, household, domestic labor, support work, and being told it's not that deep. And you hit this point of finality where something clicked, something started making sense, and you realize, like, I can be kind and I can still have a hard stop here. I can love you and not be your servant. I can be better alone than in bad company. And that is the heartbeat of your reading here. That's the mic drop moment. This boundary has someone in particular especially spooked because they banked on you never ever choosing yourself. They thought your generosity was unconditional and forever, and you've shown them that it is not when it is taken for granted and misused. So, who is most scared of you and why? Who is spooked? A few examples. This could be the lazy romantic partner who you had to pick up after. They liked having a built-in personal assistant and therapist and chef, but they never reciprocated. This could be the friend who endlessly trauma dumped and then ghosted you on your birthdays or ghosted you when you actually needed them. This is the family member who assumed we are family meant you have to say yes to everything I ask. This is the manager who kept stacking just one more thing on your plate and paying you in pizza and team spirit instead of actual cold hard cash. They didn't actually show you they valued what you were bringing, took you for granted, and they took it one step too far, and you showed them, and now they're scared. You can be very tolerant, Pal 5, but your tolerance has its limits, and somebody definitely knows that now. With better alone than in bad company, and with the world reversed, you chose solitude over bad company. That was the power move, though. You know, the world reversed from this person's point of view. This is exactly why they're rattled, because things feel in your dynamic unfinished to them. They feel as though you've left the chat mid-sentence. They thought that you'd circle back, because you always do, right? Like, it's you and them forever, but not this time. You didn't ghost, you graduated, you closed your notebook, you handed in your key card, and you stepped out into air that didn't smell like stale guilt. And from your side, this was like months or years in the making. They eroded your trust more and more. You gave them grace, then more grace, then a little extra grace, until grace started to feel like self-abandonment. And the moment you said, I'd truly rather be alone than keep negotiating my self-respect, the timeline split in two. To them, it feels like loose ends, and that's why they're frightened, because they're still like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck has happened here? Because you've pulled back. But to you, it's closure that doesn't need their stamp of approval. They are stunned because they made a bet on your codependence and they lost. With Chilling Blend and the Five of Pentacles, that's what you're serving them. A chilling blend, the cold shoulder, the no longer letting them in. Their experience is like, one day it was summer and the next day there was a blizzard. Chilling blend is how your nervous system finally iced over. The Five of Pentacles is them clocking the cold outside of the door that you shut in their face. It feels abrupt to them. They're like, where did that come from? Again, what the fuck just happened? Because they never did the self-inventory. They didn't clock every tiny wince that you swallowed, all the words you bottled up and shut down. They didn't clock every time that you said, it's fine, and it wasn't. Every no worries when you absolutely did have worries. So now they're out there shivering. There's no warm text, nothing from you. No, did you eat today? No calendar reminders you set for their dentist appointments. It hurts. But it's a natural consequence. They don't maybe see it that way, and that's why they're freaked. This isn't you being cruel, though. This is the natural consequences of them pushing and pushing and pushing you so far and never checking in with themselves to see, like, is this appropriate? Should I be doing this? If this is a workplace, you know, expect the classic scramble from them. This is a manager being like, you know, we had no idea how much Power 5 actually was handling. In love or friendship, it's You're being so cold. No, you're not. You're being regulated. The thermostat is finally set for you, though, not them. And they don't like it. With the last straw and the Eight of Pentacles, this is really, really interesting to me because you guys, you're not a flipper of lids by default. You're not a crash out typically. Like, it takes a lot for you to snap. Like, you're calm and you're calm and you're calm until you're not. But there was a straw here, the straw that broke the camel's back. There was some kind of audacity moment where you just thought, like, no, the fuck you don't. No, you're not getting away with this time. It was, you know, the comment that minimized everything you do and have done for this person. It was the blatant ask and disregard of your time and energy after you'd already said that you was overwhelmed. This is the silent treatment when you were the one who finally needed care back. This was just this person going one step too far with the can you just, and it landed like a slap because you've already done so much and how dare they. The Eight of Pentacles is your devotion. This is the way you showed up time and time again with skill, with attention, with love. You were willing to work at this. You were never ever asking for perfection, just reciprocity. But when the last straw landed, your body did the maths here. You said, if I'm putting all this effort in, then I need some care back. And something snapped in your favour. For some of you, you said it out loud and your voice was shaky, but it was the clear truth. And for others of you, you just pulled back entirely and you stopped doing the 12 invisible things. Either way, the message arrived, it got to its destination. And if you're noticing these small attempts to repair things now, somebody speaking to you in a nicer tone, tentative check-ins, a creative attempt at like making it up to you, that tracks. The Eight of Pentacles also shows their sudden attempt to work after you withdrew. And you're allowed to say here, Pile 5, you're allowed to say too little too late. Because for some of you it is too late, you're allowed to say that. But you're also allowed to say, we rebuild on new terms and not at all. Depends who this person is and where you're at with them. I feel like a lot of you guys have already pulled back so much or gone no contact or cut this person off. With Confessions and with the Hermit reversed, there's like a chest clearing with this combination. There's a sigh of relief. Confessions is the weight that finally lifted. The Hermit reverse says that you stopped processing this alone in the dark and you brought all of this out into daylight. Something needed to be said here. You know, this could be a message. I'm seeing like a long paragraph. This could be a call where some truths come out. This could be a proper full-on kitchen table TED talk where your voice finally said what your back pain had been screaming for months. For some, it might have come out in a burst, like a sleep paralysis goblin finally named. For others, it was more simple. It was just a, you know what, this really isn't working for me anymore and I need to say it and I need to get it out. But how they took it initially, they like went into their cave and sulked because they'd never been forced to do this self-reflection before. So they could have kind of taken their ball home. They could have been like, well, fine, we won't speak then. They could have thought you were in the wrong. It's like they've gone inwards, they've been pouting, they've exiled themselves, they're telling themselves, I'm the victim here. But then they're privately replaying your words in their head. And after some time, they're realising, maybe Pal 5 is right. So it's like there's been this period of quiet and then a soft knock at the door. Meanwhile, it's like you're noticing your sleep, your skin, your appetite, the way your body is regulating now that the truth is out. You're noticing it feels really good. You don't feel a need to rectify anything. You just feel this overwhelming relief from the release. You know, this is like the TV is no longer leaking, Cindy. You said what you needed to say. Your chest can expand again. You're like, this was a long time coming. This needed to happen. But for them, this could be like the first time they've ever reflected. With the Golden Teacher and the Fool, it's like this is your wake-up medicine. Golden Teacher is you saying, I can't unsee that. I can't undo that. It's like psychedelics for your patterns with other people. Once you clock onto the fact that you are not somebody's servant, you are not the house help, the entire floor plan of your life rearranges. The Fool is that fresh air through the window. It's a lighter load, looser shoulders. It's this curiosity that you can finally hear under all that previous baggage. And you've realised, like, you don't need a perfect plan here. You just need to give yourself permission. The golden lesson is that responsibility does not equal servitude. You can be loving and you can still travel light. You can book the trip to see the Northern Lights. You can buy the egg chair. You can take the hammock nap. You can say yes to the spontaneous thunderstorm walk when there's not somebody trying to control or dictate or tell you you're not good enough. So I would expect more whimsy, more colour, and a little bit of chaos, but only the good kind in your life, Pal 5. This is a clean leap into the unknown with no baggage weighing you down. With the Servant and with the Six of Pentacles, this is the power dynamics card pair. This is that dynamic at play. You know, Servant is asking, how did help slide into becoming someone's unpaid servant? Six of Pentacles redraws the line. Support should work in circulation. It should be give and receive, not tribute to a king. And from here on out, you give from surplus, not to secure love. And you receive without apologising for having needs. You name the exchange clearly: money, time, care, labour. You stop rescuing grown adults from consequences they've chosen repeatedly. This is precisely what spooks this person in question. Their entire ecosystem relied on your free labour and your silence. When you start pricing your time and energy correctly, yes spiritually and yes literally, they call it changed. And the translation is that you stop being available for their hierarchy. So in terms of who is freaking out about you and why, let's dive a little bit further into that. If this is the manager who took your generosity for granted, if this is the person who just piled work on you again and again because you're so capable, and then they nitpicked your tiniest mistakes, you resigned or set immovable boundaries. And now they're discovering that your labour was the backbone that kept the company afloat. The office feels so muddled without you. If this is your romantic partner or your ex, if this is the person who enjoyed hot meals and warm laundry whilst saying you don't do enough for them or calling you too sensitive, you turned around and you said, I'm not your chambermaid, and you meant it. And they're outside the door, hearing that Anastasia song play in the hallway. And now it's so cold, but they can't get back in. If this is the friend who treated you like a 24/7 help desk, but couldn't be bothered to show up on your bad days, you cut the hotline. Now they're realising how much you were actually there for them, even though when they had access to you, it was never enough. This is the relative who weaponised family whenever they wanted a favour and then critiqued your life. You unplugged from the obligation socket. Now they must actually hire help or sort out their own damn calendar. And these are the watchers, so many eyes on you. That eyeball sticker, someone finds it almost painful not to check your stories. They keep peeping, they keep asking, is Pal 5 fine without me? Yes, you are. And that scares them. They didn't think it would play out like this. So in terms of specific details you might clock about this person, this is a person who has for so long treated the extras you give, the rides, the favours, the emotional labour, as included in the package, not a gift, not a blessing, not the blessing that it actually is. This is the person who calls your boundaries overreacting or punishment because they felt entitled to your overflow and generosity. This is the person who is very familiar with weaponized incompetence. They tell you, oh, you're just better at it, so you end up doing it. All the time. This is the person who keeps a running tally of everything you owe them, but goes blank on what they owe you. This is the person who texts you when they need something and then vanishes when you need something. This is the person who labels you being in no contact or being on do not disturb as selfish. They expect you to break your routine, to drop everything and soothe them. This is the chronic non-reciprocator. They borrow money from you, they borrow items from you, and then they forget, and they never thank you privately, but they will spotlight someone else publicly. This is the person who tries to shame you or throw you into guilt spiral when you say no. Suddenly they're like, I guess I can't count on anyone, and then they'll love bomb you to try to reel you back. This is the person who sometimes will apologise to get back in your good books, but there's no real repair plan for it. They want the vibe to be the same as it was without change behaviour. This is the person who plays the martyr. They're like, I do everything, but their everything is mostly just words with no action. This is the person who is so stingy when it comes to support, but they're very generous when it comes to critiques. They nitpick your efforts and they minimise your wins. This is the person who utilises your kindness as free therapy, and then they call you dramatic if you ever share your own feelings. In work settings, this could be the person who copies you in so you'll do the work for them. Then they present your work as if it's theirs. They message you after hours as if it's normal, expecting your response, and they never thank you for your advice. In family dynamics, this is someone who assumes you'll host, cook, drive, organise, and then gets huffy when duties are redistributed. In love or friendships, this is the future faker. This is the person who's like, I'll help next time, I'll get it next time, but next time never happens. This is the person who switches from helpless to controlling the second you stop accommodating them. This is the person who tells you you've changed after you stopped offering free upgrades to someone treating base tier like a right. The bottom line is that you started doing things your way, on your schedule, with consent from surplus, and they're reading your self-respect as a punitive act. They're reading it as if it's meant to punish them, only because they mistook your generosity for a permanent contract, a permanent place in your life. So why they're scared and how they're experiencing you now, Pal 5, they're saying, Pal 5 just flipped on me, Pal 5 just turned to ice, which means you stopped overheating yourself to keep them warm. They're saying it's unfinished, but you don't need their closure to be complete. They're saying Pal 5 snapped, but you just enforced a boundary that was years in the making. This person's saying they dumped on me because you spoke one clean truth and their ego shattered. They're saying, oh, Pal 5 is suddenly so carefree. They're saying they're not there for me anymore, which just means that you now require mutual aid, not monarchy, not somebody ruling over somebody else and getting the final say all the time. So in terms of advice for you, Pal 5, I would say, like, treat your boundary as healthcare. Peace is a non-negotiable appointment on your calendar. This is a gentle reminder to always give from surplus and never from deficit. If your spoons are low, the answer is no, and that's okay. I would advise you to name the exchange before you agree to things. No more mystery terms. It is okay to state your terms and your expectations, especially if you are dealing with somebody who you think might take advantage. Swap phrases like, sorry, I can't, for something like, thank you for understanding, I won't be able to. You don't have to apologise. And with that said, receive without apology, ask plainly for what you need, and let the good people show up for you. If anyone tries to shame or guilt trip you, practice compassionate distance, low or no contact. Measure your healing by nervous system cues. Keep a check-in with your sleep, your breathing, your appetite, not this person's approval score. Within a work context, I would say document, keep receipts of your labour. And remind yourself, helping isn't rescuing. Adults get to meet their consequences. So Pal 5, you definitely didn't just go cold, you got clear. You didn't stop caring. You stopped caretaking where care wasn't coming back. This is wisdom, not punishment. Keep choosing the spaces that reciprocate. The right people will meet you with 2 open palms and not just empty gestures. So we are just going to finish your reading by looking at some of the tea leaf confirmation cards we pulled for you. These are just for an extra little bit of confirmation. So let's have a look at what we pulled for you, Pal 5. Okay, so we have got Club. Someone will try to make you do something against your will. They can try, but you're not going to do it. We have got Throne, position of authority. This person thought they were, but they're not. We have May. And we have Bat. Take care, enemies are working against you. So with Club, this could refer to a literal club, a group, a society, a community you're part of. They may push you into doing certain favours or duties that don't respect your bandwidth, and you might have to be firm on your boundaries. However, I think this is more in relation to, like, this being an energetic thing. This person feels like clubbed over the head by your boundary. It feels sudden to them, whereas it feels natural to you. And this person could try and, like, club you where it hurts because they know you're a generous and kind person. It's like they could say things that try and get you to feel guilty. Like, you set a boundary with them and they're like, after all that I've done for you, you know, they might cry as though there's urgency. They might play helpless, or they might tell you you're overreacting. But your stance is like, no is a full sentence. You are done auditioning for roles that you didn't even apply for. With Throne, position of authority, this person thought they were your authority figure, but they aren't. You were never meant to sit and polish their crown. You were meant to wear it. It's like you've reclaimed the keys to the castle. From their point of view, they assumed lifetime authority over you, but now it's like the tables are going to turn and now they're going to be the one groveling because access has been revoked. The vibe this is giving me is almost like secret shopper, secret boss energy. It's like they treated you like any other commoner until they realise that you run the review, the budget, the vibe. They realise you're running things now. I'm also seeing that meme of, like, Megan Fox on the red carpet where there's that kid trying to give her flowers. It's like they're thrusting flowers at you and you glide past. You have a kingdom to run, not a court jester to entertain. So May could relate to timing. Maybe this is somebody's birthday, or maybe this is regarding a decision that happened around May. But I think this is also a language tell. You know, the chronic, may I, can I, could you just do this? May I do this? They treated your extra as included. They were always asking something from you and not giving back. But the current state they're in, it's like now they're too tentative to ask because they realise they're way overstepped. They know that the tab is closed until there's reciprocity. They may have to leave you the fuck alone. That's what they should do. They may have to do that. With Bat, it's like you see in the dark now. You see through the webs inside the cave, you see through their patterns, and you're not flying into the same patterns anymore. This also makes me think of vampire energy. This person could be an energy vampire. Maybe it felt like they were feeding on your light, but you've pulled the plug. And now they're flapping. Now this person is flapping. They could be trying to send you late night texts, panic DMs. They could be being dramatic. They could be saying to other people, Pal 5 went batshit. They're projecting onto you. But the translation is that you just finally enforced consequences for their actions. They're telling people, oh, Pal 5 went batshit. They went crazy. No. But this person's going to go crazy now. This person could be trying to get other people to become your enemy. But just keep protecting yourself. Stay with your quiet routines. Stay in your sanctuary. This person can hang upside down in their own cave until they learn to self-soothe because they're not relying on you anymore. So that is who this person is and why they're scared, and that is why you scare people, Pal 5. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please do me a massive favour. Please like the video. If you get a chance, please comment and let me know what resonated for you, even if it's just one tiny thing. That would mean the absolute world to me. I really appreciate any engagement you can give. Even if you don't feel comfortable, let me know what resonated. If you just let me know which pal you picked or you put an emoji, that all helps as well. Yeah, please feel free to hype, sub, share if you haven't already. With that said, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, Pal 5.